Alright, hello, welcome back. GTU 2024. Not a GTA game. How crazy is that? I know. This is the second time English Ben has not presented you with a GTA game. But we're giving you another Rockstar game, Bully Scholarship Edition, with Mr. GuyWhoLied. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. This is like my first run on this type of platform, just strictly Twitch streams on my end, so it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I bullied him into, pun fully intended, to get his ass and do a run for me for this event.
He pointed at me
Extra special.
angrily.
Yeah. We also have a very special guest who is currently AFK, but you'll hear his voice in a few minutes when he comes back, I'm sure. I'll let you figure out who it is. Maybe you'll recognize his voice.
Potentially.
Yeah. But yeah, whenever you're ready to go, I'm good on the timer, so just let us know when to start.
Alrighty, timer starts when I click yes on the restart. I'll count down from 5, I guess. 5,
Right.
4, trace, dos, uno, go.
Mr. Worldwide over here. Speaking French or some shit, I don't know.
That was Spanish, amigo.
Fucking German or some shit, I don't know what this guy's talking about.
Oh my goodness gracious. So yeah,
Speak English on this channel.
this is Bully Scholarship Edition. This is the port that came out on PC and Xbox 360. The original port of this came out on PS2 in 2006. It was called Canis Candom Edit in Europe, and it means dog eat dog. And so you might see some potentially interesting stuff in this run. There's not exactly anything game-breaking per se, like I'm not about to fly across the map or like clip through a wall or something, but we're going to enable a glitch that mutes a significant part of the dialogue in order to speed up cutscenes. Pretty cool stuff. But for this first little bit here, it's going to be pretty straightforward of just playing the game. We play as this charming young lad, Jimmy Hopkins, been expelled from 7 different schools and has a bit of a chip on his shoulder. And according to my Twitch chat, I look just like him, so little bit of a, I don't know how I feel about that yet, but
Permanent cosplay.
literally permanent cosplay. It's a problem because all the hot face came on. It's like, oh my god, hi Jimmy, good luck on the run. I'm just like, I should just turn stream off and go do something else. But anyway, here we're gonna go to the boys' dorm. And we gotta fight this guy who says, guess what time it is? It's time for a beatdown. But he's not even gonna lay a finger on us. If I so can help it. Just went through some basic mechanics of the game, and this is the fastest animation you can get here. When you have to bully him there's 3 to 4 different type of animations you can get. You can get that, which you make him hit himself. You can get the swirly, which is the slowest. You can give him an Indian burn, and then sometimes, if you press the bully button, you'll just stare at him for a second, then you'll punch him in the stomach, which is the slowest that you can get. So we got the fastest animation there, which is pretty neato. Because people restart just on animations now. This is how, like, the upper echelon runs are at this point. Which is, truly something. Here's Gary Smith here. He's the antagonist, and we're just gonna punch him. Let's see if he cooperates. He does. Okay, great. So what we did there is that we punch him immediately, and what happens is he'll punch you, and then you'll skip having to drink a soda. It's faster. You're gonna hear that a lot. It's
also,
faster.
hello.
Oh my god, look who it is, everybody. It's Bully Extraordinaire, Swegta.
In the flesh.
So...
No, but, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just gonna say, this game, for the people in the chat who aren't familiar with it, it's, in my opinion, Rockstar's most underrated classic title. And there's a lot to this game, especially when it comes to development and trivia, so throughout this run, like I did with Nord's speedrun at the, what was it, ESA 2017 or 18, I will be providing some occasional tidbits of trivia and stuff throughout the run, just kind of spice it up a little bit.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. So what I did there earlier is that I activated a glitch called DDM, which is Dialogue Disabling Manipulation. And what that is basically when you go into the arcade game, you load a save that I just made. And as you can hear right now, you can hear the music, you can hear the sound effects. You can't hear any dialogue. And that's because...
So,
yeah, go ahead.
I could actually explain why that is if you want. Um, so when you do the arcade race minigame, actually inside the other spaceships in that minigame, that it's a racing minigame. So inside those spaceships are actual NPCs from the game, and usually NPCs have like chat or dialogue, or dialogue intended for reactions, like if you bump into someone or something. So what this minigame does, the script used for it does, is it disables dialogue. And so by loading a save in the middle of that, the game just kind of forgets that it changed that setting. So you can disable dialogue, and it's a very effective way of saving time in unskippable cutscenes, because a lot of these cutscenes are tied to voice lines being delivered. Like the game will wait for a certain line to be done, and then it'll proceed to the next step.
Yep, yep, that's about right. And
There you go.
so, and a lot of the interactions here, like when I'm talking to this chick here, like it'll just skip the dialogue completely. So it'll be like you're watching a silent film almost in terms of like the interactions, where it's like they'll stare at each other for a second, and then you'll just go do the next thing. And we have to beat up Constantinos here, because if we try to bully him normal, the game will temporarily soft lock. And by temporarily soft lock, I mean Constantinos will just stare at you for a second, like you just, like, you know, drop something on the ground. But we have to punch him there. And this is not the last time that we will be kissing this girl on the lips.
Very reluctantly so.
Yeah. He was like, he leaned into it a little bit, so the consent was there. He was just like, all right, I guess we're doing this.
Somebody in the chat said hot.
So as you can see, the prefect usually says here, you're here to learn, not to goof off, get to class. But he kind of just like moves his hands around and kind of just stares at you. That is DDM, in effect.
Yeah. Of course, DDM doesn't affect cutscene audio, because that's totally separate in the game files.
Mm-hmm. So we're just gonna go to class.
Yeah. I guess in the meantime, I'll give a little bit of information about some stuff they added to this version of the game. So this is Scholarship Edition, which came out in 2008. It was kind of like the re-release of Bully, because initially it was supposed to be, well, it was a PS2 exclusive. Originally, way back in development, it was supposed to come out on both Xbox, not 360, but the old Xbox. I want to call it the Xbox One, but you know that would just confuse people. It was originally supposed to come out on Xbox and PS2. Only came out on PS2, and then a couple of years later they re-released it. But some of the things they added to the game were actually not completely new. A lot of the missions, well, not a lot, but a few of them, were repurposed or just reused from the original version, just like beta missions that were disabled in the game files. But they did record some new cutscenes and make some new missions. Quality varies a lot
Hi,
when
Eunice.
it comes to that stuff. But yeah, but this is the only version of the game you can play on PC thus far.
Unless you play the classic Bully in ways that I'm not going to talk about here on stream.
No.
So Davis shot us with a slingshot in the cutscene, so we're just going to chase him here. And we're going to set up a knockout warp. We will be taking advantage of knockout warping a lot in this run. So get used to seeing Jimmy jump on a firecracker, because he's going to be doing that a lot.
Yeah, so of course, anyone familiar with GTA speedruns should know about the death warp method. This is pretty similar. In Bully, when you get beaten up or when you lose all health, you get knocked out. Nobody ever dies in this game, because, you know, school.
T.
Yeah. But that's one of those useful methods in the run. You'll see this happen quite a bit, because when you get knocked out, you respawn outside of the nearest infirmary or hospital. Or if you get knocked out in the Boy Storm, you'll respawn inside of Jimmy's room.
So I'm going to go into my room real quickly here and make some firecrackers in the Bunsen burner. and then I'm gonna save and reload a save to refresh the Bunsen burner so we can have a full set for the coming chapter. And I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go for a risky version of this, in that we're gonna use a firecracker to take out everybody in front of the stairs. Because this is a very difficult thing, I'm only gonna try it once, and if it fails, I'm gonna reload the save, and we're just gonna do the slingshot strat just so we can continue, and I'm not clogging up time by trying to restart for a strategy within the first 5 minutes of a speedrun.
Yeah. If there's any silver lining to this strategy being difficult, it's the fact that it takes place in the first chapter of the game. So if you're doing a run and you mess that up, then you haven't really lost a whole lot of wasted time. But it can be kind of like frustrating because this game is heavily reliant on AI in speedruns, and this game is notoriously known for having a pretty finicky AI. Although occasionally it can surprise you with the level of detail they put into this. Keep in mind, this game came out not too long after GTA San Andreas. So essentially what Rockstar wanted to do was take the GTA formula and then make something way smaller in scale that had more detail.
I got caught by Mr. Burton. Alright, we're just gonna go for slingshot strat.
Yeah.
No biggie. It has killed so many runs. It's completely fine. This is actually one of the more advanced strategies that you can do at the start of the run. So for the sakes of this, I'm just gonna go for the slingshot strat, just so we can actually continue the run.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
So that's a good idea.
Rookie mistake to use PS2 code for PC. That'll cause crashes. Yeah. Interestingly enough, when Rockstar made Scholarship Edition, which came out on PC, Wii, and Xbox 360, they actually took an old beta version of the PS2 version. I'm not really sure why, but I think it had more to do with just like development being easier to do with an unfinished build. So occasionally in this game, like at least in the game files, if you go through it, you'll see that there's quite a lot of unused content. Even more so than on the PS2, I'd say.
Yeah. So the Scholarship Edition adds a bunch of amazing things in Chapter 3, like Christmas missions, which casually you're just like, okay, it adds flavor to the game, it makes sense. But when you're speedrunning, you're just like, this is like 25 minutes of extra shit I didn't ask for.
Yeah, and you know what's even more infuriating was like me as a kid picking this up at the store. I looked at on the back of the box and it said like, local 2-player multiplayer. And you'd think like, okay, maybe there's like a free roaming mode or something. No, it's all just mini games. It's all just kind of like Flash style mini games, and none of them are really all that fun. Which is kind of weird because adding local multiplayer to this via modding is not even that difficult. So why Rockstar settled on those kind of like Newground style mini games is, I don't know, it's beyond me.
So we're starting Save Algae here. Algae is a member of the Nerd Clique. There are multiple cliques in this game. The nerds, the jocks, the preps, the greasers, the bullies, and the dropouts. And then there's some non-clique characters sprinkled in there as well. But basically, we're going to lead Algae to his locker to get his books that he has to return back to the library. But there's a little bit of a snafu, because in the middle of this, he says to Jimmy, which you can't hear because DDM's enabled, but he says, I really have to pee. Can you take me to the bathroom? And we're just like, sure. He's paying us $5, which was like $25 in 2006, so why not? So we run in here immediately. We shoot the stall to get Pedro out of the stall, and then we turn on the sinks to skip Algae's animation of turning the sinks on. We're going to quickly shoot these bullies here, and then we're going to jump off the stairs or the railing a couple of times to set up another knockout warp, which we'll do here in a bit. Not D-words or townies. Well, I call them dropouts. That's the original name.
There is an inconsistency in that, because originally the townies were called dropouts, but in dialogue, pieces of that still remain. Occasionally, the characters in the game will refer to this faction as the dropouts.
All right, so basically we're going to go back to the boys' dorm. Initially, you think you're going to start doing the next activity, but no. When we enter the boys' dorm here, it's going to fade. We're going to jump in this trash can really quickly. So this is an introduction to the errand a system in this game. In this game, there's 50 people who will just have a blue arrow and an X on the map, and they'll just ask you to do various activities. Like, for example, in town, in Bulworth Town, you have to help a lady find her lost dog. And in New Coventry, you have to spray tags, which we'll get to be able to spray tags in Chapter 3. Just some various activities. But if you've seen anybody really recently do a bully 100% run, activities are errands, excuse me, are the bane of the 100% category, because they are some of the most finicky things I've ever had to deal with in an entire game. Just for the sheer fact that sometimes you'll be walking towards to do an errand, and then it'll just despawn. And then the person who was originally going to give the errand is just staring at you like, what? And it's 8 to 9 hours of just that, along with various other stuff. Why do you think I didn't submit 100% to this? Because 100% can truly be a miserable existence if RNG is not going in your favor.
Getting some of these errand NPCs to spawn, that alone can take up a lot of time. Because it's dependent on just if the game feels like it. Some of them are pretty easy to get to spawn, but other ones are just kind of like, I don't know, just up to luck, really. And even errands have some unused content. I mean, there are unused ones in the game. So it just goes to show that like every facet of this game has a bunch of stuff that ended up getting scrapped. Rockstar Games, they're kind of known for their unused content and also just rush development. This game is no exception at all. There's the fact that they managed to deliver something of this quality, well, at least the original version. The ports have not been good over the years. But the fact that they actually delivered something with this much personality and flair to it, I'm honestly kind of taken back by that. I have no idea how the developers pulled that off in such little time.
Yeah, because this game was sandwiched in between San Andreas and GTA 4. So they had a lot on their plate in the 2000s, and every game that they cooked up were really good games.
Yeah. Another weird thing about this game is that it's tied to both the 3D universe and the HD universe for GTA. It's referenced and even shown on the TV in GTA 4. And there's plenty of, well, not plenty, but some dialogue in the game, even referencing Starkweather from Manhunt. I don't know, maybe many people know about that character, but it's the main antagonist of that game.
Yeah, a lot of really cool, just like behind-the-scenes stuff about this game. You can make 10 years worth of YouTube videos on it, which Swegda has. Wink. So we have to help out one of the nerds here. He went to the auto shop to get some parts for his project, and some of the bullies have decided to just, like, give him a hard time about it. Because God forbid somebody wants to do well in school. God forbid he wants to do something with his life after school. So we're just going to go over and help him out here, but we're going to do it, and hopefully, if I can pull it off correctly, in a very smooth way that isn't you just punching them for a couple minutes. So pull out our firecracker.
YouTube can barely handle 12 hours, don't I know it?
Very clean.
A fun little fact. Nice. I actually did a 100% speedrun one time, and the one time I did it on YouTube, and they ended up archiving like 11 hours and 30 minutes of like a 13-hour stream.
Okay. So we grabbed stink bombs to set up for that bitch. Which I know, oh, they said the B word in a T game. Oh, the horror! And now we get the skateboard.
This game was originally supposed to have people saying, well, shit and some other profanity.
There is merde on one of the porta potties, if that counts.
Yeah, it's mobile merde.
Okay.
Means like ambulatory shit, basically.
So what I'm doing here, usually when you just ride on the skateboard, it's fairly slow, but what I'm doing is I'm wiggling the left analog stick as I'm skateboarding. It actually allows you to accelerate significantly faster, and in some sections of the game, it's actually the fastest way to get around, barring the go-kart. So we're going to be using that for a good portion of the run. So, you
I
know.
would say there are parts of the map where you can actually gain enough speed where you could get enough speed to, like, bypass a go-kart. But yeah, the go-kart is definitely the fastest vehicle in the game, though. And the cool thing about I don't know about all races, but I think most races in the game, the only thing the game code checks to make sure you're actually participating in the race is if you're inside a vehicle or using a bike or like anything to that effect. So you could, if you somehow found a way to get into like a car in the game and drive it, you could use a car in a bike race, and the game would just be like, "Oh, that's fine, go ahead." So likewise, you can do the same thing with the go-kart and the moped.
So I threw a stink bomb against the wall there the moment after I picked the locker, and that's because if you don't do that, the prefect will chase you and he'll actually follow you to when you leave the gym. So we throw the stink bomb there to kind of just halt him for a second, and then you're able to leave the gym without him grabbing you. Be careful not to throw it at him though, because then you'll get a full bar, and if you get caught, you'll fail the mission. Fun stuff. So now we're gonna. Originally, this was one of the most boring parts of the run, the candidate. But because we have the amazing little thing called DDM enabled, it's gonna last us maybe a minute, if that.
This is a godsend to the speedrunning community because this speech is one of the most tedious parts in any speedrun that has happened for this game. It it's like this super lengthy speech. We have these multi-second pauses in between each segment of the speech. Like he'll deliver 3 or 4 words, pause, you'll hear some characters in the audience boo or cheer or heckle, and then he'll eventually proceed and then pause again. This just skips all of that.
And here we are. Initially, he'll say welcome, and then he'll go into the speech, but there we go. It just goes right to them clapping. And ignore the type of flag that Ernest used. Just completely ignore that. It is an E, and we're going to leave it at the letter E. We're not going to elaborate. We're just going to move on. E for equality, exactly. So that's that.
So another fun little beta fact, and people probably miss this, but if you look closely at the banners in the auditorium, you'll see they have a different logo from the one seen in the cover of the game and across the school. That is actually the beta version of the school's crest. They just forgot to replace it in the auditorium. So if you look back at like older pre-release screenshots of this game, you'll see students sometimes wearing uniforms with that logo on.
So I see somebody in the chat talking about crusty audio. Wait till we get to Chapter 2. You'll definitely get some crusty audio. That's all I'm going to say. And what I'm doing here is that I'm loading the save that I have preloaded for DDM. All you have to do to cancel DDM and turn it off is that you literally just exit the arcade, and then you load the save that you want to play. And then that's it. And the reason why we do this, because initially, at face value, you're just like, why don't we just use it for the entire run? It would save so much time. See, the problem is, if you go in between chapters with DDM enabled and, like, the cutscene plays and stuff, your game will soft lock. The game does not like when you have DDM enabled in the middle of the cutscene swaps. So, we have to disable it before we fight the bosses at the end of every chapter, just so our game doesn't soft lock. Because as if this game didn't already have enough stability issues, we use a glitch and the game just craps itself.
Yeah, so the way by which we re-enable dialogue in the game is by heading into the arcade race and then exiting the arcade race. Because by doing that, the game will realize, like, okay, you're exiting the arcade race minigame, turn dialogue back on because now it's actually needed.
So we're going to set up a bust warp here if I can. Sometimes if you try to punch a girl or a small child when they have itching powder enabled, it will not get you a full bar. Not exactly sure why, but sometimes if they're like itching and you punch them, it doesn't give you a full bar, so all the prefects and the authority figures run at you. Sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Don't you just love it when games are completely unpredictable?
So we're doing Help Gary now, and as you can probably hear if I skateboard past, you'll now hear the amazing dialogue in this game, which is great, because this game has S-tier dialogue. So we're going to slingshot these 3 bullies here to skip Gary having to fight them, and then in the middle of Gary's dialogue here, we're just going to shoot him with a slingshot to skip his dialogue. No, we're not doing that because Gary's annoying. We're doing that for an actual speedrun reason. So now we're going to go through the basement here to set up going to the hole.
So it's the place that separates the men from the boys, the wheat from the chaff, and all that nonsense.
And so I'm going to start kicking boxes here to try to get a plank, which I get first try. Very good. We use a plank to beat the upcoming boss, which you'll see here in about 40 seconds or so. It is much faster than you just punching him or you just using your slingshot.
Yeah, so basically, the school's basement has this big hole in it, this little sewer section. And originally, you were supposed to be able to bet on fights between the students down there. Maybe even participate in some of them. If you've ever gone to the carnival in this game and you've headed into the freak show tent, you can bet on a fight between 2 little people. And I think it was something like that, something to that effect. Like you would see 2 characters and then pick like, okay, I'm betting on this one X amount of dollars. But of course, you know, T rating. I don't know how well Rockstar could have gotten away with having you know, that in the game.
Good Russell fight.
Yeah, kind of like the Ballad of Gay Tony. Yeah.
All right. So we're heading into Chapter 2. Gary has stabbed you in the back. He is not a friend, but he will not be showing up again. Well, he shows up in one cutscene in Chapter 2, one cutscene in Chapter 3, and then we don't see him again until the end of the game.
Yeah, so I think there was at least one mission during Chapter 3 or 4 where Gary was supposed to show up. It's called the Pedal. I don't know how much I can get into that because it's kind of like it takes forever to explain. But yeah, Gary was originally supposed to have at least occasional appearances throughout the story, more so than he does in this final version of the game.
So we
Here we see,
are collecting the English teacher's bottles to help him not get fired for being an alcoholic. Because Mr. Galloway's cool. He's a cool guy.
I've always appreciated the exchange between him and Mr. Hattrick. So just to kind of explain a little bit about what's happening in this mission, Lionel Galloway is the English teacher. Like Jake explained, he's an alcoholic. Mr. Hattrick is the math teacher, and for whatever reason, he has it out for Galloway. So he tells him, like, I'll make sure you get fired for this. Instead of expressing even the littlest bit of, like, sympathy or concern for the well-being of his colleague.
Miss Phillips is soft-locked right now. She'll fix herself eventually, but sometimes you run the risk of this happening when you have to hand people packages, that sometimes they will just sit there and not do anything. This happens in something else that's coming up. This could happen in Chapter 3, this could happen in Chapter 4. Basically in every single chapter in the game, this could happen.
Hooray. Yeah, so the reason she gives you a camera at this point, the game really does not do a good job at explaining this, but in Chapter 2, you can take photography classes. That begins from that point on, and you need the camera for that. So after this mission, you have access to that. I remember playing this game as a kid. I'm like, why is there a camera? Like, usually they give me money.
So we're going to do art class here. No, we're not. I'm kidding. We're failing it. The reason why we have to fail classes is that sometimes some stuff in this game starts at a specific time. So we have to fail classes, and we do go-kart race fails, which we will start doing here in just a bit. And I'm going to set up DDM again.
Yeah, so we're just going to be a bunch of Philistines and be totally dismissive of art.
We are committing
For the
felonies
sake of speed.
in this game.
Yes.
Gonna load the save here.
Is he related to Finbar Rusty Galloway? I'm not familiar with that. I'm sorry.
Really?
But
Cole
I'm
Phelps?
not. Oh, right. Yeah, sure.
Swagta, come on. How do you not know arguably the
Well, I
best
knew
Rockstar
Rusty,
game?
but I forgot about the Galloway part. I'm like, wait, what?
There's a specific quote in that game I want to quote, but I'm not going to, just for the sakes of the platform that we're on.
There's a lot of quotes you should not quote from that game.
Yeah, that's true. Doesn't make them any less funny, but I'm not gonna say them.
Yeah, good game though.
Zazzle, you guessed correctly. You don't win anything, but you get my approval.
Anyway,
So,
going on.
we're helping Edna, the cafeteria lady here, because the principal believes that us helping her will teach us it will give us some character. Maybe, you know, doing a deed. And we are just getting her laundry, we're getting her razor for her stash, and we're also going to get some old expired meat. And because we have DDM enabled, we're not going to be able to hear what she says, but Jimmy specifically says, "You better use that meat soon. The clerk says it expires at midnight." And she goes, "Nonsense. There are no fussy eaters at Bulworth. It'll last for a month." So meat that expires on the same day she's going to use for the next 30 days. So do with that info as you will.
Yeah, it's kind of lucky for Jimmy that the only things you can eat in this game are bananas and apples. And actually, if you ever find yourself low on health and you come across a banana somehow, pick it up, eat it, drop it, and then immediately pick it up again. Just spam the pickup button. It'll it'll basically like bring it back to pristine condition, and you can just like eat it continuously until you max your health. Yeah, and sodas, that too.
So I have some sad news here because I have live split running on the side here just so I know, like, you know, some parts of the game, because there's like a couple reroutes before I started doing this. I'm a little fuzzy about some stuff, so I have live split open. If I didn't have to reload that save during the slingshot, I would have beaten my chapter 1 PB by 2 seconds. So it would have been a personal best, but because we had to load the save during the slingshot, it is invalid. Technically, this entire run's invalid now because we reloaded a save from a fail. Obviously, we can reload saves during DDM, and if you're doing 100%, if you're trying to respawn errands, a good way to get an errand to spawn in that's being stubborn is that you just save and reload the game. And then if you go to the general area where that errand is, it should spawn in. So we're gonna help out Pinky the Prep here, who wants to see this movie, but there's a big line in front of her. And Jimmy asks her, "What's in it for me?" And she goes, "I'm a princess, and people will do things for me." And we're just like, great. So we're helping her out a little bit. And
I should probably give people a little bit of more context, because like a lot of people who play this game, they are just kind of under the impression that Jimmy's just getting pushed around. During this chapter, Jimmy sets out to take over the preps. So like, even if it comes down to helping somebody who totally doesn't deserve it, he's willing to do that to, you know, make the ends meet.
Yeah, as you saw there, because of DDM being enabled, Pinky doesn't necessarily talk to us. She kind of just gives us hand gestures, and then she kind of just runs away. Or sometimes if you have it at a specific camera angle, she'll just despawn. She'll just like apparate right in front of you. I'm going to put on the Aquaberry vest here. Even though the sweater looks better, I am willing to use the vest for this run because I think it looks nice. I'm using it. It's too late. I'm running away. We're in the middle of a speed run. We can't. This is not
invalid
garbage.
Now.
It already is invalid.
But hey, you know what's not invalid? Giving to charity. So if you guys want to do that, save the children.
Save the children. I agree. So we're going to do a little bit of a boxing tournament here to win a home in the Vale worth $1 million, which is like $6 million now. So we have to go through 3 boxers, all from the prep click, in order to beat the tournament. And something interesting about this specific port of the game, as you can see, I am just punching him and he's not blocking. He does dodge. Dodging still does happen, but he's not blocking whatsoever. So what's happening here is it says X or right trigger at the bottom there. This is only exclusive to the PC port for some reason. I'm not sure why it doesn't work on console. But if you just spam the right trigger, they literally cannot block. They can dodge and then hit you like with like a 3-piece after. That can happen, but if you just spam the right trigger, They will not block a punch. It is still heavily RNG reliant, though, because you're kind of hoping that they don't just like try to punch you in the kidney there and then just hit you with a 1-2 piece. You could literally save up to like 15 seconds here, or you could lose up to like 20, just depending on the type of boxing that you get. If you get 3 bad boxing RNG, that's pretty bad. I've been like minus 30 here at one point, and I gotten in the red because of how bad my RNG was. It does happen.
So Jake, let me ask you this. Actually, 2 questions. So the first one comes from Cool Bomb. Sorry,
There
in
you
the
go.
chat. They asked, "Is the Wii version the best version?" What would you say?
Of Scholarship Edition, I mean,
Yeah.
probably if the loading times are pretty brutal, but in terms of like the most stable quotation marks version of Scholarship Edition, it's probably the Wii. But in my humble opinion, the best port is the classic port on PlayStation 2. That's the best port.
Yeah, for me, it would be. I honestly really like Scholarship Edition on PC, but it's so unstable and so broken. Keep in mind, like this came out in 2008, so it's been 16 years, and Rockstar has done little to no upkeep on it whatsoever. In fact, I want to give a big shout out to Silent for patching this game, like he's done with many other titles. But yeah, for me, it would be Scholarship Edition, and then my all-time favorite would be Bully Classic on the PS2 or any PlayStation, really.
So, we won the tournament, but there's some bad news. Our parents have to be members of the board in order for us to win a house in the Vale. But we did get a very nice beach house, though. There's alcoholic bottles everywhere. There's like mounts on the wall. The walls look like they were made in 1897. It's quite nice, especially this time of year.
This is what people would call a fixer-upper. Like, you could easily sell this for a huge profit if you fixed it.
So, the original intention of this section is that Tad and the preps want to go egg Mr. Hattrick's house, because Mr. Hattrick does live in Old Boar Vale. As a matter of fact, the street I'm riding on right now, he lives a little bit up the road. So, the original intention is that they want to egg his house, but unfortunately, our old friend Gary is back, and he's whispering some stuff in Tad's ear about his mother. Is it true that Jimmy said that Tad was inbred? See, right there, inbred am I?
So another thing they removed from this game, which I don't understand fully how they would have implemented this or what their plan was, but occasionally you were supposed to overhear Gary talking trash about you behind your back.
Ooh.
Like, you would walk up to him next to some other characters and he'd be like, "Oh, we'll talk about that later. Never mind what I said about Jimmy." That kind of stuff. And there's even a joke in this game at the end of Chapter 1 where Gary tells Russell, the bullies leader, "Go beat up Jimmy because he said all this nasty stuff to me about your mom and barnyard animals."
Barnyard
That was
animals.
supposed to be a
Yep.
recurring joke in the game, but it's only used a couple times. But it was supposed to be something that you would hear like on at least 6 or 7 occasions.
So, quickly here. So we started the go-kart race here at the carnival, but what we're doing is we are using it to skip time ahead because carnival day doesn't start until 4:30 p.m. And because I'm so early, I'm gonna fail two of these. Because usually we would just wait for the marker, but if you're early enough and you're on good enough pace, you can fail 2 races and you'll actually save a little bit of time over just standing over in front of the theater and just waiting for the marker to spawn in. And after we're done with this, we're going to go play some carnival games, because we have to buy Pinky a teddy bear for our date. Yes, we are pre-working for the date, which is what you should do if you're about to go on a date. Make sure you have it mapped out, at least a little bit.
Make sure you've pocketed a few carnival tickets. You never know.
You never know, exactly. So we're going to play the hammer game here, because this is the quickest game to get some carnival tickets. We played this game about 60 times if you're doing the old 100% route, but you just use the shooting range during 100% to grind the tickets to buy everything in the tent. And that's excluding the amazing scooter, unfortunately. I love the scooter.
The scooter's awesome. Takes forever to unlock, but it's worth it.
$69. Nice. And I do this every time just to make sure. We have 12 tickets. We need 12 tickets in order to buy the teddy bear. You really need 10, but for the sake of quickly grinding this, you just do the hammer game in intervals of three tickets. So you just play it 4 times, then you get the tickets that we need. So coming up here, we're going to go into the bike shop, and we're going to buy a bike. The Aquaberry Cruiser, which is the fastest way to get around, or one of the faster ways to get around in the game. We use a lot of ways to get around this game fast. Skateboard glitch, as you've been seeing since Chapter 1, and we do brake pumping coming up, which you won't see until what we do next. So we're going to skateboard over to the carnival here and start our date with Pinky. Fun fact, Pinky was going on a date with a Darby, who is her second cousin?
Yeah. I don't remember exactly what their familiarity is, but it's something like that. You know, Pinky even mentions in the cutscene that her aunt has 4 thumbs.
4 thumbs. That's crazy.
I also like Tad's dialogue in the mission with the eggs. Oh, I'll just be quiet.
Thanks for a great date, Jimmy. That is... Ugh, God, what were they cooking when they were porting this? Good lord. That is not the only time in this game.
At some point, must have heard that in, like, quality assurance testing and been like, hey, could you, like, fix... And then they were just like, no. No.
So we're gonna get our bike out of the garage here, and now I'm gonna do something called brake pumping. Basically what I'm doing is, every time I'm spamming A, I'm just tapping X as well, which is the brake button. And it'll accelerate you faster than you would just normally riding the bike. Every single bike can do this in the game, with the exception of the scooter, for obvious reasons. You can't pedal on a scooter. That'd be a very bizarre layout. So now we're just gonna go do a bike race. So remember when I mentioned earlier that some people in my chat say I look like Jimmy Hopkins? Well, Pokey saw in the
Yeah,
chat just reassured me. So that's lovely in front of a live audience. I appreciate that.
I actually told Jake at one point, I'm like, if you do like a live run at ESA or GTQ or like any of these like in-person events, you should actually like cosplay as Jimmy Hopkins. I think that'd be awesome.
Oh, good God. Please, get me out of here. Ben, I want out. I've had enough. I want to go home.
Yeah, but as Jimmy describes the preps in one of the cutscenes, massively inbred and completely brainless.
Very observant, Jimmy boy.
Love the explanation. I played this game as a lot as a kid, but never watched a speedrun. Hey, well, hopefully you'll enjoy this. I guess for you, this will be one of those like nostalgic things combined with like, oh shit, I didn't know that. So yeah, hopefully we can provide some interesting information throughout the run, and also the run itself. I mean, so far it's been pretty good, aside from the slingshot thing that happened.
Yeah, that was probably the worst thing that happened, which basically just made the run invalid. But that's okay. I don't have live split on the screen anyway to track the in-game time. It's not a big deal. It happens.
No.
So a really cool thing about this speedrun in particular is that it is extremely easy to get into. There's not a lot of, aside from DDM and a couple like advanced strats like Firecracker strat and like door skip, which we do in Chapter 5, but we'll elaborate on that when we get there. This game is extremely easy to get into if you're like wanting to dip your toe into speedrunning. And not just speedrunning, if you want to get into speedrunning a like GTA type game. Bully is probably arguably the easiest one to get into. Not necessarily because of the amount of resources. We're a pretty small group over there, but in terms of just like how the strats and the route is, it is very straightforward. So, you know, if you're a newbie and you're thinking about speedrunning Bully, please do it.
Some of the strats are a bit difficult, but for the most part, you know, I feel like anybody can learn them. Like, if you know how to use a controller, if you have decent, like, you know, hand-to-eye coordination, and you played video games for a while, like, I think just about anybody could learn how to speedrun this game.
MKR, who's had the world record in this multiple times, says door skip is not hard. Yeah, for us, it's probably not that hard, but for somebody getting into the game, it's going to be a bit of a pain. So we got our trophy from the bike race that we won. But our dude Gord here stole it, so we're gonna have to get it back. So we got a slingshot at the minimum 3 preps, sometimes 2, depending on how the game's feeling, in order to get him to run out, and then we can just steal the trophy. Easy peasy.
So there's a couple of ways by which you can do this. You can either grab it from him, like Jake did just then, or you can knock him out and just pick it up like any other kind of pickup item or weapon in the game.
Justin, you're trapping me in the wall, thank you. Okay, so remember when I talked about earlier in the eggs when we were going to egg Mr. Hattrick's house, but Tad decided to turn on us? Well, we're going to kind of flip the script on him, because we're going to egg his house. See how he likes it when somebody messes with his shit.
Here's another little... Maybe I should stop prefacing each one like that. One thing that I've always found kind of strange in this game, but I've also enjoyed, is the fact that the voice actor used for Yuri, one of the jocks, also voiced the shopkeeper in that cutscene. For some reason, there's an inconsistency in his accent. So, like, he has a very, like, hackneyed kind of, like, stereotype accent half the time, but then the other half of the time, like, in the cutscene, he doesn't have that accent, so I'm not really sure why. Yuri also had that going on. Like, in some of his voice lines, you'll hear that he doesn't really have much of an accent, like the Eastern European way of which he speaks. Or accent, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's weird, because a lot of the characters in this game changed roles throughout development. Like, another one of the jocks, Damon, was supposed to be a prep originally. And even voice lines from that stage of the game still exist in the files.
I want to fight a gorilla.
I think my favorite piece of a randomized like NPC conversations you'll overhear was Damon asking somebody else, "You ever fought a gorilla?" And the guy, I think it was Lewis, answered, "Hasn't everybody?"
Because that's what you do, right? You go to the zoo and you fight the primates.
I mean, you gotta show him who's boss, you know.
And put them in a a lock, you know.
Yeah, it's not bad enough we have them in cages. We gotta fucking dominate them too. Yeah, sure.
So we're gonna fight Biff Taylor here to really show that we're the dominant one in this room. And I'm doing the same thing that I did during Prep Challenge, and that is just spamming right T and just hoping he doesn't dodge. A little bit of an RNG element in this, but he shouldn't block. So this is fairly easy. Just getting the RNG to line up can be potentially a pain if you're trying to go for a decent time.
So somebody asked, is Yuri the jock that sounds like Nico Bellic? Yes.
I'm going
Many
to destroy
people have
you
made
now.
that observation. Yeah. Any man with a Eastern European accent must be Nico Bellic.
So we're going to grab a plank here to use in Darby's fight, because just fighting him with fist and slingshot is not fast. So we're going to use a plank here. There is a very good chance, there are stools on opposite sides of the ring, there is a very good chance that you won't get a plank. And then in that case, you just have to fight him with your fists and or slingshot. We got to close off the doors here, because he's going to summon more preps. We're going to jump here.
This is one of those things where the game just conveniently spawns something to help you in the mission that never appears outside of the mission. Those little barricades.
Okay, so sometimes when you're fighting Darby and hitting him with the plank, sometimes he could be a little shit, and sometimes he'll just roll out of the way. Constantinos later on in the game also does that, but we'll cross that road when we get to it. So that's the end of Chapter 2. The preps are on our side now. We are the de facto leader of the preps, and now we're going into Chapter 3, where we have to... well, first, we got to do some amazing Christmas stuff for our friendly homeless Santa. And then we will be helping out Johnny with his problems, and then we will be trying to take over the greasers.
So, you must be pretty proud of yourself.
So remember when I said that this version of the game reused some unused assets or just some other assets from the PS2 version? The Santa is one of those things. So if you look at the character model of the so-called hobo Santa, or, well, Rudy, as he's called, you'll see that he has the same head and face model as the fighting instructor behind the school. Which I always found strange, because when it came to like any of the other characters they added to Scholarship Edition, which by the way, that was like one of the things they marketed the game on. Even on the back of the box, it even tells you like new characters, and you only see half of them for like a few seconds. But
So, Swag,
yeah.
I don't want to cut you off here, but we're potentially about to do something really cool. If I can get it, it is pretty inconsistent. If you don't get it, you do lose like 15 seconds. But I'm gonna try to do what we call a bio warp. So basically, we're gonna wait until biology class spawns in. Wait till the small child gets out of the way. I'm gonna throw a marker. We're gonna jump on it, and then right when we get knocked out, we're gonna press Y on the marker. And then we're going to see if we can get Bio Warp here. And yes, we can. As you can see, the game's like, whoa, what's going on here? And then we will just end up at the infirmary in Bulworth Town.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a delay when the game respawns you. So when you get knocked out, you're essentially starting the chemistry class minigame as you're being teleported to the infirmary, which the game gets a bit confused by. Sometimes you can end up getting stuck in the biology classroom because of that. But this is also a pretty cool way of exploring the biology classroom if you manage to get stuck in there. You can actually find a couple of jars with the heads of, I think, 2 former students in the classroom. I don't know why that's in there, but yeah, if you manage to glitch your way into the classroom, you can find them.
So speaking on that class, the dialogue with the teacher during Weed Killer is some of my favorite dialogue in the entire game because at the start, the biology teacher wants you to destroy a plant that Darby Harrington's father bought. And he's describing it in a weird, like, you know, like Shakespearean way, talking about death and stuff. And then he's like, do I make myself clear? And then Jimmy's interpretation of what he said is, loud and clear, sir. You want me to murder Darby Harrington. I'll get right to work on that. And then he goes, not the boy, the plant boy. And then Jimmy's just, oh, right. And then he goes off and does Weed Killer. But we don't do Weed Killer in this category. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm failing go-kart races again, like we did in Chapter 2, because Balls of Snow, or sorry, excuse me, not Balls of Snow, a Miracle on Boar Street spawns in at 6 o'clock p.m. And when we start the day, it's like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So what I'm doing here is we fail 4 of these in order to skip time by 4 hours, just so we can do Balls of Snow around like 4 or 5 o'clock-ish, and then that'll naturally, after we're done with that, we'll be able to just start Miracle on Boar Street no problem without having to wait. So one more race here, and then I will be bust warping out of this, and then we will go do Balls of Snow. Which, fun fact about Balls of Snow, basically the entire soundtrack won't get your VOD muted or get you potentially copyright striked on YouTube. Balls of Snow does. Sometimes Schools Out does it too, depending on the mood that it's in, but specifically the Balls of Snow theme has like the Sean Lee like copyright thing on it. And if you have it in a VOD you're trying to make money on, it'll either just mute the VOD or you won't be able to make any money off of it. That's why I'm going to spare you guys that and potentially, you know, getting this VOD muted, and I'm going to mute the music during this. So it's just going to be very awkward, me just throwing snowballs at people.
I mean, it is Christmas music, so like anyone in the audience who, I don't know, works like a convenience store job is probably going to be happy that you're muting that. I could also explain why there are some copyright issues sometimes with the Rudy missions, and that's because when this game was being made, Rockstar pretty much just like licensed already existing music that Sean Lee, the composer of the soundtrack for this game, had already released at that point. So as a consequence of that, if you do like a let's play of this game and you include the music in this mission, your video will probably get claimed automatically.
There we go. I muted the music, so now it's all good. So there is a very small chance that sometimes when you're throwing snowballs at the townies, one of them will either hit you with a brick or a snowball. If that happens, Jimmy gets knocked over, and then he just stays there. Basically, your game is soft locked, and this is without DDM as well. I have DDM enabled, but that happens when you're just playing the game casually. So for the sake of this, we're kind of going to hope and pray that I don't get it. But if it does, we have a save, and we'll have to fail the go-kart races again, which is a bit, you know, annoying and tedious, but that could happen. But I have one more guy left, and I don't think we're gonna soft lock here. See, easy peasy. We're just throwing snowballs at the townies that were making fun of our homeless Santa here, calling him a pervert, throwing snowballs at him. Not cool. Not cool. Don't throw snowballs at the homeless. You're not cool. You're just an asshole.
Yeah. Leave the homeless alone. Haven't they suffered enough?
Arm the homeless if you're a Rage Against the Machine fan.
Yeah.
So,
Here's a strange. Okay, well, if you want to explain like a strat or something, go ahead.
oh well, yeah. I enter and exited the barber shop there to spawn in firecrackers because there is a very quick way to do Miracle on Bulwer Street. You just throw firecrackers at the opposite like castle walls. So this goes by extremely quickly, and then we just take the bus back to the school. No problem.
Yeah.
Continue.
I was gonna say there is a way to glitch out of the academy at the very beginning of the game. If you crouch and stuff somebody in a garbage can, and then stand up and start running around, like that disables gravity on Jimmy for some reason. So by using that, you can get out of the school, go to New Coventry, and enter that store, the final cut that Jake just entered and exited just now. And you can buy haircuts and clothing there. That is the one store in the game, the one clothing store you can actually, or like barbershop that you can access from the very start. So if you want to customize Jimmy, if you're like replaying the game, you could do that.
And a little fun fact
think,
about that gravity glitch is that we will be using it in Chapter 5. In the business, we call this foreshadowing.
Nice. I was also gonna say, if anybody wants to look this up and learn how to do that, it's called a levitation glitch. So just Google that.
Yeah. It's not difficult to do depending on who you do it on, but later on we will be using it on the townies, and the townies have a very annoying style of fighting when you're speedrunning. They hit hard, they tackle you, they throw firecrackers at you. They're like an end game click, so obviously they're going to do a fair amount of damage. But when you're trying to do this game fast, that could be a pain in the ass.
Speaking of pain in the ass, here's
Oh.
Kraken.
Arguably the worst, the worst thing in this entire run. And I'm going to mute the music again because it is just Christmas music and it can get dinged. And even then, I think the xylophone can even get dinged. So should I just like mute the effects? Yeah, there we go.
It's not even hitting the right notes, but it can still get detected.
There we go. There's an amazing silent film of the this weird amalgamation version of the Nutcracker. If you're listening to this audio only for some reason, don't worry. The game didn't crash. The stream didn't crash. I'm just muting everything just to potentially avoid VOD muting stuff. You're welcome.
So Cool Bomb asked, was SE even playtested on PC? Stuff like this makes me wonder if it even was. I mean, like, obviously, to some extent it was, but if you pause the game, go to the music, and then, like, unpause the game, it will desync the xylophone with the music playing in the background. Like, even just simple stuff like that was not really fixed prior to release. So it does kind of make me wonder, like, okay, well, to what extent do they do any quality assurance? So I guess now would be a good time to point out to the audience that you can use, what is it, exclamation point donate, and it'll give you a link to the charity, I believe. Or I might be misremembering that.
Save the
No, you're
children.
correct.
Okay, cool, sweet.
And we do have
Of
some
course, yeah.
donations as well.
Oh, awesome. Go ahead, voice of God.
Yeah, this is the perfect time to do it.
Yeah, I thought I'd come back for this because it seemed like a great time, especially with no music as well.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
This is riveting gameplay. What are you talking about?
Now go for it.
We have $10 from Ugu saying, today I learned that my copy of Canes Canem Edit has a Dutch version of the foldout map. Funny. Who threw that egg? As a very smart person, I get that reference, by the way. Just thought I'd let you know.
Good, good.
We all also have $15 from Pokesal saying, hey guy, it's your commanding officer here.
Oh,
We're all watching
Jesus
here in the
Christ.
barracks. All of our privates are missing you. Good luck on the run, and we'll see you come shower time to celebrate your GTU run.
I am
How
gonna
wholesome is that? Let's go.
I am gonna give that fucker a stern talking to when I'm done with this. He is embarrassing
During
me.
shower time or after shower time?
During, of course. I'm gonna look him dead in the
Of
eyes.
course. That's hot. Powerful.
We're
Yes, also as a quick reminder, It says so on the screen every now and again, but I'll reiterate just in case anybody's audio only right now. All Twitch revenue that I make during this event goes straight through to the charity. So if you have like a spare Twitch Prime sub or like spare bits or anything like that, then feel free to send it over and it will get donated at the end of the event. Thank you.
Sweet.
So we're gonna do our favorite activity in the run, and that's fail more go-kart races. Yay! Because the upcoming thing we have to do, Rudy the Red-Nosed Santa, it starts at noon. And if you look at the top left clock, it is 9 in the morning. It is not noon. So we have to skateboard back to the carnival, and we are gonna fail 2 more races, and then we'll be able to start the next mission, which is you are helping Rudy make some money by being the homeless Santa. So remember during Miracle on Borer Street when we knocked down that castle of the real Santa? Well, Rudy's going to take over now and do his own version of it. And you'll see what that version is when we get to it.
Yeah, okay, so maybe we should talk a little bit about Bully being worked on Steam, ostensibly, by Rockstar.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, so 16 years after the game was released on Steam, it seems like Rockstar has now taken it upon themselves to fix it, which is good considering the fact that they're still marketing the game on like GTA Plus. So maybe they should make sure that it's playable. I don't know. But so far, there's an exe file in the game called Test App. It's basically just like a slightly older build of the PC version of the game. It doesn't do a whole lot. It's pretty unstable. So thus far, they've removed that exe. I don't know if they've done anything else since, but yeah, it's a sign of life at least.
Pay no attention to me shooting that small child. I used it to warp out. Pay no attention.
Pay no attention to the child behind the curtain.
Pay no attention to the slingshot being fired from behind the curtain. It's going to be noon here, and then we'll start Rudy the Red-Nosed Santa. If the marker would want to spawn in, this can happen. Sometimes markers, when they're supposed to spawn in at a specific time, you'll be at the spot, and then they just won't do it.
Nah. Just doesn't feel like it.
Oh, goodness gracious. Get on the bike, please, Jimmy. Thank you. So now we have to go around getting, quotation marks, decorations. And by decorations, it's garbage. It's people's garbage. Basically, Rudy just asks you to find anything shiny and Christmassy that you find in the garbage. In the middle of all this, we're going to be chased by Santa's elves that we helped screw over during Miracle on Borer Street, as you can see. They're not thrilled about not having a job anymore.
One of them has an unfinished texture, by the way. If you look at the hair, it's like gray. That's just the game not being able to load the texture because it's improperly named.
So, I don't know if you notice here while you're trying to take the pictures of the children, you'll notice a couple of things. One, Rudy is sitting on a toilet. He's not sitting on a chair or on Santa's, throne chair
or something.
Yeah, no, he's sitting on a toilet. And second of all, as you notice when the kids are telling him what they want for Christmas, they're floating. They're not actually sitting on his knee.
They could easily fix that, by the way. I have no idea why. There's one piece of code that would take care of that entire problem.
And because we have DDM enabled, we're not going to be able to hear what they all want for Christmas. A lot of them, like the first kid that was pulling on Santa's head, he wanted a skateboard, and he was very adamant and angry at the fact that he wanted a skateboard for Christmas. This child's just talking about, does a sleigh have rocket boosters?
Is it eco-friendly? No.
And Karen here is going to be talking about, you smell like horse poop. You smell like horse poop and rubbing alcohol.
A literal Karen.
Most of the Christmas mission bugs are fixed on Wii. Well, there you go. If you want the most stable version of Scholarship Edition, if you want to play this casually, the Wii is probably your best bet. If not, just play Classic, just so you can skip these dumb extra stuff.
I agree, because what it comes down to is, do you want to play the best version of the game, or do you want to play the best version of this version of the game?
The best version of the best version.
Well, that would be Classic.
So, we're doing jealous Johnny here. Johnny, the head leader of the Greasers, believes that his girlfriend Lola is cheating on him with a gourd. And as you can see here, they're holding hands. They're being like, you know, like a couple things. So we have to take pictures to prove the fact that they are indeed, you know, being provocative. And the thing that sucks about this specific thing is that the pattern in which they go is completely random. So you can easily lose up to like 30 seconds just getting a very bad Jealous Johnny cycle. So you have to take pictures of them holding hands, Gord giving her a gift, which he has to stop specifically at a certain spot and do it, and then they have to kiss in the alleyway. But as you can see there, we don't even need a picture of them kissing. They just need to be staring at each other in the alleyway, and it's good enough. So there's a very small chance here that Johnny can freeze up here. He did not. Okay. So if you skateboard down here very fast, or if you get here at in a specific way, Johnny will just stare at you. Like what happened during Hattrick versus Galloway, where Ms. Phillips just stared at us. Johnny will do that for upwards of like 30 seconds. And the most fun thing that could happen is, back in the day, we used to ride our bike down there. If you ride your bike down there and a greaser grabs it and rides it off, Johnny will just sprint after it. Like a fucking dog chasing after a squirrel. Johnny will just fuck off and just go do it. And I failed to despawn that cop. It's fine. We can work
I could
this.
be wrong about this, but I think that happens because the game is coded to have him act like a friendly NPC. So when a friendly NPC sees you getting like attacked or something, usually those kind of NPCs will intervene and be like, "Hey, you know, let me back you up."
Good
I think that might be the cause of it.
It's fine. So we have to bait Gord to coming to the bike park. Where is Gord? Okay, there. What? Okay, he was off by like an inch. But we have to set up an ambush here in the bike park. Now, this mission is not only very RNG reliant, it could potentially kill you. Because you're running around trying to mess the preps up, and what can sometimes happen is your greaser allies will just start throwing firecrackers at you. And if you get like bad RNG and a cola doesn't spawn in, this mission could easily kill you. I've had it happen more than once. Hell, I had it happen like last week. So it does happen. And as we knock out the greasers here, or not the greasers, excuse me, the preps, this is actually fairly decent. So I need to go back over there because there are 2 items of interest that I need to get here. I need to get a carton of eggs, which we will use on the boss fight later, and I need firecrackers, which we will use during the tenements. And I'm gonna set up a potentially, if it decides to work on me, I will do a really cool warp that one of Swegta's fans found, I believe. So you're gonna take the bike, you're gonna shove it into the garage door, and then we're gonna go start wrong part of town, which is in the library.
My mind was blown when I was shown this for the first time. I actually thought it was edited. I'm like, there's no way. And then I tried it, and I was like, okay, well, there we go. Okay, so Bashar asked, is the Wii version the only version that has the construction work structure on top of the school? I'm not sure, but I think it might be the case. Because again, the Wii was the Wii version was built off of a late beta.
Amigo.
Who isn't a Swegta fan?
Me.
I don't know. I was gonna
I
jokingly
hate
say
Swegta.
Jake, but I was like, I'll just hand you that one.
Yeah, I invited you
I'll
to
hand
be
you the
on
slam dunk.
to do my first ever fucking marathon run, and I hate you. I hate your guts.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Okay, so sometimes these guys can be a pain in the ass, because sometimes they just decide to not die. I prioritized the dude with the plank, because Cornelius has very low health here. So if you get a super swing on him, he'll get knocked out in almost one hit. And you'll fail it. But thankfully, you know, we got the plank out of his hand and we're all good to go. Now, I'm going to potentially set up the garage door warp. Ooh, let's see if it works. It does. So basically, when we jam the bike into the garage door, the game still thinks we're on that bike. So when we get on our bike in our garage, it'll warp us to that bike that we shoved into the garage door. Pretty neat stuff.
Yeah. It's essentially a broken transition point for you when you're using any kind of vehicle. And actually, like, you can sometimes run into some problems with that that area transition right there. If you're heading into the area with like a go-kart or something, it can actually like increase the risk of the game crashing.
Yeah, so I slingshotted Algae there to trigger his to trigger is dialogue. Dialogue, we have DDM, so no dialogue. So fun fact about that. If you are on the road still, not like where like the snowy bit is, but like on the road that still has like this type of pattern, if you slingshot algae, your game will crash. I believe it was on an English Ben fucking marathon where somebody ran bully and their game crashed, if I'm not, you know, incorrect.
You
So-
are.
So that was fun when that happened. I wasn't pulling my hair out or anything. Nah, it was funny when it happened. So we're just gonna be slingshotting the greasers here who are chasing us. Right now in this specific part, in wrong part of town, we are saving algae from the greasers because Lola was using algae for her homework, but algae obviously assumes maybe there's some true feelings there when there actually isn't. And Chad from the preps is also here too, because Lola, like the Beach Boys song, she gets around. And she was asking Chad in that cutscene for $100. It's just $100. And in 2006, you know, compared to now inflation,
That
that's
was
like
like $1 million
$2,000. That's
by
like
today's
$2,000
standards.
now. You can buy an apartment with that $100 that you could make in 2006.
Yeah.
So now we have to
You could buy a
save
human
algae.
being with that kind of money back in the day, you know?
Human being.
And a real hero.
So this part is very, this is like a very auto-scrolly section. You're basically just shooting the greasers off the bike and just trying not to get too damaged. It's pretty straightforward. You ride straight to the school. As long as you don't have like dog crap aim, you should be able to get through this no problem.
Yeah, this is the obligatory Rockstar Games auto-scroller section.
Except instead of shooting a AK, that is a antique, you're shooting a slingshot on the back of a BMX bike.
That's an antique.
He got it off of Emmett.
I've always appreciated how the AK jams in that mission.
They did, as it was elaborated on. It is an antique.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. But
So we're just gonna slingshot all these guys here, and there we go. We are completely golden. So there is an alternate strat you can do where you can wait until specifically Norton, because he throws eggs at you and he won't damage you. You can wait until he gets up here to the bike, and then you can knock him off the bike, and then you have a free bike to just ride around on. But we don't do that because we have to exit DDM, and it'll despawn the bike. So it literally is just a waste of time. There is no point in doing it. So I'm going to go to the boys' dorm here, and I'm going to do what I've been doing for the last two chapters, one chapter, and I'm going to exit DDM. Very
one
good.
thing that's really cool about this game is that the fact that the environment changes as you progress. So you'll start seeing different types of decorations gathered across the school, and even across town even. So, you know, like when Halloween comes around, you'll start seeing the Halloween decorations popping up a bit early.
So we're gonna go grab our bike out of the garage and go to the Harrington house to start tagging. This introduced the fact that it is a Rockstar game. You can spray tags because that is a staple in Rockstar games and in GTA clones as well, like Saints Row, etc.
Yeah, there was also supposed to be a tagging, a cleanup minigame. Kind of like detention. I think that was supposed to be a form of detention even. You would be sent to different parts of the map. I think the school and maybe parts of New Coventry to clean up some graffiti. Animations for this and voice lines still exist.
So, fun fact about spraying tags. If you play this game, this is specifically on PC too. This is not on console, not on Wii, it's not even on Classic. For some reason, on the PC port, when you play in a 16:9 resolution, so 720p or 1080p, you can spray a tag, and then you can respray the same tag again. We take advantage of this, you know, during this section here on a specific spot, and we also take advantage of it during 100% in order to get $1,000 that we need to buy clothes and do 100%y things, but we're not playing 100%.
Yeah, so as you guys will see, when you lay down a tag, I think excluding the one where you spray Jimmy was here at the beginning, but the rest of these tags, they'll quickly disappear and then reappear as a potential tag spot
I'm getting a phone
as soon
call.
as you're done. Damn. Hopefully it's not anything emergent. In the meantime, I'll keep you company, chat. I'll be here. There. So yeah, when it comes to getting a bunch of money for one of the later missions, and Jake was referring to, what was it? Oh yeah, this mission, actually, tagging. So you'll see on the radar, you have different spots you can tag. See there on the left, there's one on top of a rooftop right there. So if you skateboard off of the building that he's tagging right now and jump over to that one, it's kind of hard to do, but with enough, attempts, you'll get it. If you're playing this on high res or widescreen like Jake is doing, the tags will disappear, but
All right, I'm
you
back.
can, because of that, you can keep doing the same tag over and over again. So you can do the most difficult one time and time again, and you can make quite a lot of money off this mission. What is it, like somewhere around $500 to $1,000?
It's $1,000 flat if you do one of the rooftop tags 5 times in a row.
Yeah, there you go. The Spaz Industries one.
Love is complicated. So we are going to do a race to win Lola's heart, because this is, a cliche in media where you can win over a girl by showing your sick, nasty bike skills.
I like how the game assigns one of the worst bikes to everybody else, but for you, it's like, whatever you have.
Yeah, so if you, for example, the Aquaberry Cruiser here, if you start a bike race after literally just jumping off this bike, the race will let you use it. So, and if you don't, if you just run over to the marker, it'll give you the bog standard, the bog standard bike that you get when you either buy it. No, I don't think you could buy it from the bike shop. That you get during shop 1. Just the bog standard
You can't
bike
even
that
buy
it
the
gives you.
thing.
No, it's that much of a hunk of shit that you can't even buy it in the bike shop. A shop that sells bikes.
Yeah. Even like the clerk there's like, I'm not gonna do you the disservice by even offering you the option to buy this.
So this is pretty straightforward. We're just doing the race, and because of us doing brake pumping, which is spamming A while you press X occasionally to accelerate forward, the other racers are doing a very funny thing in that if they're too far away, they will just start slingshotting in front of one another in order to catch up. In 100%, in one of the new Coventry races, you can get fucked by this. Because if you're, like, on the last lap and you're, like, too far ahead or whatever, one of the nerds, because, they're different clique members in, like, the miscellaneous bike races, he will just slingshot in front of you and you'll automatically get to second place.
Yeah, so there's another phone call, I think. Yeah, there's a lot of rubber banding in this game when it comes to the races. And I guess it makes sense because the AI is not super intelligent, so they can easily fall behind. But sometimes you'll notice just how much rubber banding there is, especially during the go-kart races. Jimmy has magic powers. Yeah, he does. I think we all do inside of us. Rubber banding in my Rockstar game, unbelievable. Yeah. Speaking of rubber bands, I mean, I'm sure most fans of this game know this, but for anyone who doesn't know, I think this is pretty creative. So there's a
Alrighty.
collectible in the game. It's a rubber band. If you collect all 75 of them, you get a rubber band ball that just respawns in your inventory constantly, and you can use that to like knock out enemies and all kinds of crazy stuff. Like the thing bounces off the walls like crazy.
And as you guys saw, Lola was so impressed by our amazing biking skills that she gave us a little kiss, and now she likes us, which is great. That's nice. But we're gonna have to do some chores for her coming up in the tenements.
And even then, I mean, Lola likes a lot of people.
Or a lot of people like her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's, just using them. But anyway, we're going to ride over to the tenements, which is like a condemned apartment building that's full of, like, holes in the walls and, like, there's probably rats in there and some, like, black mold. Ugh. But we have to go in there and we have to get some items for this girl. Like her laundry, her address book, her keys, her perfume, her lipstick. etc.
All things you need to survive. I guess the clothes make sense, but aside from
Yeah,
that,
the laundry, the keys in the address book make sense, and he was supposed to fall down, and he didn't. And Vance has a plank. So, fun fact about people who have planks, baseball bats, or rulers in this game. If you're being chased by somebody who has a meter stick, a bat, a cricket bat, or a plank, they have infinite sprint. You will run in a straight line for 100 yards, 200 yards. They will chase you the entire time. They do not run out of stamina when they're holding a plank or something
so
similar
this
to that.
this also applies to just about any other weapon, unless the NPC in question is scripted to be exhausted at some point. If you have like, if you somehow find yourself in control of, say, Norton, and you have a slingshot in your hand, you can sprint infinitely. Well, he can.
Oh, screw that. We're doing the backup strat. So the backup strat here, I tried to get firecrackers out of the box, and I couldn't. So what you can do is you can just hit him a couple times with the plank, but that could be sometimes sketchy, because in between hits, he will take a swing at you. And I completely missed the wall. That can happen. Sometimes the hitbox on the wall is, as they say, shit. So we need this hammer.
Is that another business term, Jake?
It is another business term, yes. So we have to use this cartoonishly sized sledgehammer, which, fun fact, the end of this sledgehammer is not this big on Classic or on console. Only on this port, for some reason, the end of this hammer is so, like, cartoonishly big. It's like Mr. Hammer from Batman Arkham City, and I don't know why. I guess they were just like, fuck it. Make it bigger.
Just imagine Rockstar support being like, well, you guys wanted bigger and better.
Yeah, but then they forgot about the, the foundation of a game, which is stability. So I'm gonna grab
This game
firecrackers
has been treated
here
so poorly over the years.
in the corner to set up a firecracker spam that we have to do on a group of guys coming up in the Rumble, which is the final thing we have to do in this chapter. And then we are out of the snow and out of the cold, and we don't have to deal with the intense RNG in this chapter anymore. Because you will be on very good pace, you'll get very good stuff in the first two chapters, and then just the RNG alone in this chapter will screw your run up and it's over. Especially if you're like in like the top 5 times, top 10 times. So that's fun. So we're going to see if my bike got stolen. It did not. Very good. Greasers like to steal bikes. Townies like to do that as well. That can happen. That is a risk. And he has a slingshot, and I just got shot with the slingshot. I didn't fall off, but that's fun, getting hit with a little rock. So we are going to ride ahead of Peanut here to trigger this cutscene to where we have to fight these guys. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to spam firecrackers here to knock them all out, or at least try to. My health is very low. All right, there we go.
Yeah,
I'm
so
fine.
Peanut is one of the greasers. We're not chasing a literal peanut.
Yeah, we're not chasing the Peanut guy. No, I don't know what his real name is. What's his real name? It's not Peanut.
Charlie Brown or what?
No, the greaser.
Oh, Larry, I think his name is.
Charlie Brown.
Well, you said peanut guy. I was
So-
like, oh, Charlie Brown.
No, the fucking Peanut guy in the commercials with the top hat, who my parents think that my
Oh,
profile pic is the Peanut guy. It's not. It's Napster Blue from Undertale.
I'm sorry that I recalled something fondly from my childhood instead of some soulless ad on TV.
You're telling me the Peanut guy is not a symbol of Swegda's childhood in Sweden?
No.
Man.
Not as far as I recall.
That is quite a shame. So we're outrunning the cops here because Johnny is not happy with us trying to take over as leader of the Greasers. So we have to ride away from the cops here, and Johnny is setting up an ambush for us in this junkyard. Is it Fat Albert's junkyard? I'm not sure. That might be copyright issues, but it is a junkyard with Greasers that we have to take care of.
Yeah, so this section is not at all actually connected to the rest of the map. This area is loaded specifically for this mission. And if you glitch your way out of this space somehow and head back to where Jimmy, the cutscene took place, you can actually see like an unfinished kind of late beta version of that part of town.
So I'm going to slingshot all the Greasers here to pave Pete's way to getting to the crane. And Johnny's going to ride around on his bike here until he gets stuck under the magnet, which he missed narrowly. Oh, so Johnny's going to be annoying. Okay, this can sometimes happen where Johnny will just straight up just, like, not do a regular circle, and he'll just go back and forth. Like this. It's fun. So we,
feels like it.
so we picked up spray paint in the middle of tenements, and we're going to use it on this fight. Or at least try to. Johnny tried to super punch me there. He didn't.
Is
So
there
we're
a
gonna
canon reason why Jimmy is bald? I've heard some people speculate that Jimmy's appearance was very roughly based on Dan Houser, who partially wrote the story for this game.
Okay, so real quickly, if you beat a boss or somebody down to where you can humiliate or bully them, if you throw eggs at them, it'll kill them instantly. We take advantage of this a couple more times in the run. Pretty cool. But now we're starting Chapter 4. And if you've run Bully, or you're like a viewer of Bully speedruns, this first mission, Stronghold Assault, is infamous. Infamous for killing runs. So there is a very highly likelihood that I will die here. And if you're doing a regular time speedrun, you have live split in the corner and stuff, if you die during this section, you lose about 2.5 minutes. Because you have to go all the way back and start this again. So, Stronghold Assault sucks ass. In that
It does.
you are trying to forcefully go to the observatory in the back of the library here and take over the nerds, because the nerds think that they're better than you, even though Jimmy helped them multiple times in Chapter 1, 2, and 3. But I digress. Swipe to go ahead.
I was just gonna say, something that also becomes a problem when you fail this mission is that when we do any percent at least, we're sticking to a specific schedule for classes, so that we can, skip them for the sake of saving time, because some missions are only available at certain times and so on. Failing missions can kind of throw a monkey wrench into that whole thing. It doesn't completely ruin a run, but it can definitely make it more difficult to speed up time. Or skip
Yeah,
ahead.
because you're waiting for classes, or some classes you can't automatically fail, like Shop, for example. You either have to knock out Warp on top of the marker to skip it entirely, which does something similar to the Bio Warp that we did in Chapter 3, or you just have to do the class, which sucks, and it's slower than just doing the cycle that is in the route. So we're storming the observatory here. This is Jimmy's D-Day that he is currently participating in. And we have to use the Spud Gun, which is a big old automatic potato launcher. We have to open the doors to the observatory. We have to force our way in. And I'm purposely not getting those beam colas in front of the gate, because there is a chance I might need them. So we're going to throw a stink bomb here at the top to temporarily make sure the guys at the top don't spawn in, just so they don't hit you with bottle rockets. And basically, you sit here and you shoot the doors and you cross your fingers you don't get hit. These guys can melt your health in a matter of seconds. But it seems like the RNG is decent right now. Okay, I'll just get perfect Stronghold Assault, because why not? So that's what's supposed to happen. And something funny can happen here during this section here. So watch. You get the U passed, and then watch. Jimmy's just going to sprint out.
See, every time I tell Jake to do that, he refuses. But the one time that I'm just quietly sitting here, it's like, oh, check this out. Damn you.
Did you just say damn you to me?
I did. Damn you.
You don't understand the pressure of trying to go for potential world record paces, Swegta.
Yeah, I've not known that pleasure in about half a decade. Fun fact for the people watching who don't know, I actually had the world record for this game back in 2018. The good old days.
And fun fact, Swagta, you probably know the answer to this. When you held the world record, when you and Joystick were going back and forth, who was the one guy that swooped in and beat your time? Who was that person?
You?
It was me. Yes. Not trying to
There was
brag
actually
or
one
nothing.
point. There was one. Okay, well, if we're gonna take it there, let me just point this out. There was one instance of me actually drunkenly speedrunning this game and being like 3 sheets to the wind, to say the least, and I still got the record back. So there was that too. Don't forget that part.
That's true. That's true. And then you blatantly made fun of my time. But then again, we weren't really friends at that point. We were just people like, oh, he speedruns this. He's all right, you know.
Yes.
But now
it's
you
like
know,
a playful
we're BFFs.
rivalry. Like it's all in good fun. Hey.
Now
Okay.
we're the best of friends. aren't we?
Yes.
I don't like that answer. I don't like the way you said that. Is this what they
Does I sound
call?
like I have ulterior motives?
Does this is this a parasocial relationship? Is that what this is?
I should just respond like the next time somebody tells me like I love you, I should be like yes.
Look, at least you don't have
Why
your
not?
at least you don't have your friends coming into your stream when the both of us are on call saying, "Hey Swegta's friend," when they know me.
Yeah.
They're friends with me.
Yeah.
Seems
Anyway,
good.
putting the venting aside, so now we're doing a funhouse fun, and this mission is also one of those instances. Well, not really instance. I mean, like everything in the game has some kind of removed content, but here there's quite a bit. Actually, if you listen to the detention music in the game, that was supposed to play during this mission. It was supposed to be used inside of the funhouse. That was not even meant for detention at all until much later in the game, or the game's development. Why is Swagta's friend talking?
You know what? I think just for the duration of this run, I'm just gonna let you do all the talking. I'll just sit here, you know, play the bongos, you know, perform like the dancing monkey, and then you can go ahead and talk about your trivia and fun facts. Even though I'm the one who set this up, I'm the one who invited you. You didn't invite me. I invited you.
You're gonna be like the new bass player for Slipknot. You're just gonna be like backstage. You're not allowed on stage.
Indeed.
Do they still do that? I know that's totally off topic, but do they change that at all?
In terms of what?
Do they actually allow the bass player on stage now?
Yeah. That was
Okay,
back
good.
during Grade Chapter. That was like 2014.
Yeah, well, that's around the time that I lost interest. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah, so basically the point of this is that the nerds have taken over the fun house. It's like their temporary clubhouse that they were just like, you know, hanging out in. And the jocks decided to take over and screw things up. So we're kind of helping out the nerds because us and the nerds, we're boys now. We're cool.
For the time being.
So we're just taking care of the jocks inside the funhouse, and hopefully a fairly fast manner. And then we just exit the funhouse, and it's pretty simple. It's pretty, a lot of stuff in this game is fairly straightforward, like every other Rockstar game, where the intention of the mission is pretty straightforward. I love watching the stream featuring Swegta and his sidekick. Alright, you know what? You know what? I get it. I get it. It's fine. Random viewers. I get it.
Jake, the audience is going rogue. You're losing them.
I'm losing them. I gotta start, I don't know. What the hell do I do?
They're brandishing weapons, Jake.
They got the pitchforks and the cotton candy.
There's another busted warp.
Indeed. And just for the sakes of this, just so I don't have to worry about, them despawning, I'm gonna buy eggs in the shop just so I have them. Because we use eggs for another boss fight coming up. So I just bought those just so I don't have to worry about the elements of RNG.
Hello, Dilla.
Hi, Dilla. It's been a while. So we're gonna go to sleep here to go into the next day and do basically all of Chapter 4 in one day. Chapter 4 is the shortest chapter aside from Chapter 1. So everything can be done pretty much in one day.
Yeah, so I think the majority of this game really consists of chapter 1 through 3, I'd say. Because a lot of those missions are setting you up later in the game. Like, they're teaching you the ropes. I mean, like, okay, here's how you do this, here's how you do that. And then eventually, halfway through the game's like, okay, now we're gonna set you loose. Now we're gonna let you take care of all this. And I guess it's a good thing to teach the player how to do everything, but I feel like the game kind of holds the player's hand a little bit too much.
Right, so we're about to start Paparazzi, which is one of the more morally gray missions in the game.
I would say it's morally just.
Oh yeah, watch this
fucked
gate, by
up.
the way. Oh, the gate opened normally. Sometimes when you open that gate, the actual gate itself won't open, yet you'll still do the animation to be able to walk through it. Pretty weird. So, Ernest, in a way that he, quote, is, take over the school and take down the jocks. We need some... What's the best way I could phrase this? Not safe for
Some
work?
leverage.
Some leverage. Exactly. We need some leverage pictures of the head cheerleader, Mandy. I don't condone any of the actions happening here. I'm just the man with the controller doing a speedrun.
Yeah, I don't condone any of this. I'm just partaking in it willingly.
Yeah, we just happen to be, you know, I happen to turn the game on and I happen to be doing the actions that I am controlling. So usually you'd go in on the side. We're not going to do that. We're going to take out our slingshot. We're going to shoot these two chairs here. Jump on the bookcase. We're going to wait for her to get to the bottom of the stairs. And then just jump up. Very easy way to get to the top floor. And then we are going to take a picture of her. Fun fact, if you run into there, she'll call you a... What's the word? A pervert son of a bitch? Perverted son of a bitch?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, she's not thrilled about another boy, or a boy, being in the girls' dorm. Can't imagine why. So we're going to take pictures of her lotioning her ankle. Very scandalous stuff. And we are going to exit the girls' dorm and then just head over to Ernest. And because we don't have DDM enabled, we can hear the amazing dialogue that Ernest, you know, gives us when we hand over these potentially felony pictures.
This is why I objected when you called this morally gray. I feel like it's pretty straight up wrong.
Look, I was trying to be neutral. Okay? It
I'm
didn't...
a neutral party when it comes to this felony.
I'll look at Ernest. He can't walk into the library. All right, there we go. He is an avid student of anatomy, which... I don't know if that's the grossest thing I've ever heard in this game, but that's up there. I didn't need to know that. Did anybody ask for that? I didn't. Did you, Swegta? I don't think you did.
No.
Yeah. So, justifiably so, the jocks find out about the pictures that we're taking. They're not thrilled about the fact that we snuck into the girls' dorm and took pictures of the head cheerleader. So they're gonna storm the castle, and we have to defend the castle.
Ernest is a Reddit mod. Yeah, he is. Even as like I'm not even active on there, but like as a moderator on r/bully, I'm like, yeah, that's fair.
Some sections of Reddit, absolutely. So we're gonna break the barricade here until it's about red, and then we're gonna skate away. Or skate away. Ride away. I wish we could skate away, but nope. Park the bike in front of the gate. And you probably think we're gonna use the spud cannon here. Nay, nay. Because we're gonna jump down here, and we're gonna cook our slingshot, and we're gonna kill all the jocks the traditional way. Or knock out the jocks, excuse me. We don't kill people in this game. It's rated T for
Yeah, I
T.
was just gonna correct you on that.
This is a family-friendly game.
So, like with the sledgehammer, the spud cannon also has a different model in this game. No idea why. Yeah, so this is pretty much the whole mission. You just keep doing this, and eventually they stop spawning, and then you win.
You really have to cook your slingshot here because they're wearing football pads and stuff, and it actually does help them like not get knocked down immediately. So you really have to cook the slingshot in order to knock them down. So now we're going to do nice outfit. In order the next part of Ernest's plan, we need the mascot outfit, which is a red bull. Because Bullworth, bulls, bully, bulls, whole lot of bulls. Too many bulls. So we're going to attempt to grab a baseball bat here. Sometimes this could be really finicky. And we are going to throw. There we go. So the quickest way to get Konstantinos to aggro with you, sometimes you get to shoot the slingshot at him a bunch of times and it'll piss him off, but the quickest way is to throw marbles at him because it'll definitely piss him off. And right when you throw the marbles, you have to try to grab the baseball bat. Because if you don't, you'll just have to do this with your fists and whatever you have in your inventory, which is not nearly as fast. But Konstantinos is not exactly agreeing with me right now. He blocked a bunch of stuff. So now, until we get the opportunity to throw an egg at him, we're just going to beat him with the fists and the slingshot.
Beat on the bat with a baseball bat. Gotta love the mascot dodge. Yeah. Whenever it comes to boss fights, eventually they'll start blocking a lot. So it's always a good idea to just get as many hits in as quickly as possible before they start doing that.
Hoo, huh, 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 huh. Awesome. We're celebrating.
So, somebody said they feel bad for Konstantinos. I'll give you one reason not to, and this is a piece of trivia, by the way. So Konstantinos is the only non-little kid character in the game who tattles on you or other characters. So if he sees you committing a crime, there's a decent chance of him telling a prefect about that and getting you a wanted level. He's the only non-little kid character in the game to do that.
So, we're doing discretion assured. We meet Mandy in the gym, and she is worried because of the photos that got around, and there are posters of her. Of those photos all over town, she's worried about, you know, not getting kicked off the cheer team, and worst of all, getting expelled. So Jimmy, actually being a decent person, is like, you know what? I feel bad. I'm gonna help her out. So we're gonna ride around town here, and we are going to help her out.
Wasn't every character supposed to tattle, even Gary?
Posters.
I'll just answer this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Most of the, if not all the characters in the game, well, most have unused voice lines for tattling. I don't think they were planned to all be able to do that. I think it's more of an instance of Rockstar just recording those kind of lines just in case. They did this with a ton of stuff. Like the fact that you can kiss other boys in the game came from the fact that they had these unused voice lines for kissing male characters, and they realized like, oh wait, we could easily just change a little flag in the ped list to allow for that. Sorry, go ahead.
So when we're covering up the posters here, we do a little thing, because right when you try to spray the tags, the jocks are not thrilled with you, because they're admiring it in a very weird and gross way. So we trigger to spray the tag. They'll get all mad. We run into the comic book shop and run out, and they're de-aggroed. So now you're going to spray the tag, no problem. And because of the way the pattern is, Tad is not going to be able to get any of the posters by the time we get back to the boys' dorm. Because Tad is a gross person who feels the need to, like, have an almost unlimited supply of fresh posters. Which he seems a little proud of that fact, and that concerns me a little bit.
As it should. All my homies hate Konstantinos.
So, a little bit of trivia about this part right here when Mandy walks up to you. I was on a world record pace run. This is about a year ago, 2 years ago. So what happened was I get to the front of the school. I skateboard in. For some reason, Bucky was aggroed with a spud gun. He shoots Mandy with the spud gun, and the mission fails. Because Mandy is knocked out. Because she wasn't supposed to get hurt. So I lost a... This was like a 2:15 run at the time, which was an insane run at the time before optimizations and DDM got found. So I think I took an 8-month break after that run. So, a little bit of Guy Who Lied trivia there for you.
See, like, I feel bad for you, but at the same time, it's amusing in a fucked up kind of way.
Oh, yeah, from a, like a spectator view, it's hilarious. Because it's like, of course that happened, right? Oh, yeah, here's another one. I'll give you another, because you've been speaking trivia this entire time about Bully. I'll give you another Guy Who Lied speedrun trivia. So, there was another run. This was a couple years ago now at this point. This is when I had the chokehold on the any % board. So I defeat Gary in the final cutscene, and when I skipped the cutscene for Crabblesnitch telling Gary that he's expelled, my game crashed. So the run was invalid.
Right
because
at the ass end of a run.
Right at the ass end. So the final split didn't split, and my last save was at the start of Chapter 5. So I had a world record die there. I had a PB run die a couple weeks ago, because in the final section of the game, which we'll get to that here in like 30 minutes or so, there is a small chance that when you enter the school after taking out the click leaders, your game will crash. I had that happen. Thankfully, I had a PB issue. I read the chat. I saw issue, and that was in my head. I had a PB that was much better a couple days later. So it worked out, but that was a little bit of an annoying nuisance about this game. No matter how many silent patches or how many big crash fixes that we potentially try to shove into this. This game is a buggy, unstable mess.
It's held together by duct tape.
And spit. And popsicle sticks.
Yes.
Interception. So in the big game, we have to help out the nerd leaders. You know, mess with the jocks, and we're doing various pranks and like stuff to like mess with them. In this specific section here, there's actually a kind of cool strategy you can do with the marbles. We'll see if I can get it, but you know, knowing me and this type of platform I'm on, it's not gonna work. But you know what? I'm an optimist, so it's fine.
Yeah. So people in the chat are asking about the lag. That's temporary. It'll go away after a moment.
Yeah, I'm
We're just
sorry about
dealing
that. That
with,
happens all the time.
Please stand
now.
by.
It'll fix itself here in a second. Don't worry. Just use this as a PowerPoint presentation. I'm having issues with this bench too, and I'm dropping frames so you couldn't see it. It's fine. So literally it's just a PowerPoint presentation of me getting my fucking ass whipped on top of the marbles.
Next slide, please.
Bueller. Alright, so we're going to continue helping out the nerd agents here. And so the strat I was doing there with the glue is that right when you are about to glue the bench, you throw marbles on top of you, and it'll cancel the animation of you doing the bench. And it saves a fair amount of time. It's a little tricky. I wouldn't call it an advanced strat, but it can be fairly tricky if you just don't have the timing down. So we're just going to do various stuff for the nerds, like, for example, spread marbles on the football field that they can't blatantly see for some reason. And there's another one that we're doing coming up, which is, I will be honest, it's fucking disgusting.
Lag left for me. There you go. I told you. It goes away after a while.
Yeah, I get lag no matter what because Xfinity, great internet provider with no problems with it whatsoever.
Just think of it as a cinematic flare. Every time a voice line is played, it's leaking memory? Really? Wait, every time a voice line is played, there's memory leaking in this game?
I guess it makes sense. Even with Silent Patch, the game crashes after like 6 hours.
Well, I thought the voice line system was broken enough as it is.
Nope, memory leaks out the ass. Just in case you need another reason as to why this game, this port specifically, is an unstable mess. So we're gonna skip doing the cow dance here by just waiting for their cones to go away and then just running around them. Easy peasy. So we're doing a little bit of a... We had to relieve ourselves into the cooler, and... Yeah. This is not good. This is some nasty shit.
No, it's totally legal, probably.
This has to be like battery or something, right? You in the gym...
I mean, this is like food tampering or something. I don't...
Environmental terrorism? Cooler terrorism?
Maybe like assault with urine?
Let's see if we'll see anybody puking or somebody stuck in front of us here. Sometimes if you're just in the middle of like cutscenes like this, you'll see the peds in the background do some funny shit. No, it's looking pretty straightforward. It's a pretty packed house, though. There's a fair amount of them here. Oh, Tad just said hi to us after we were stopping him putting up not safe for work posters in town. So we're going to mess with the jocks one last time before we get into the final boss of this chapter and the final section. We're going to mess with the scoreboard here. And instead of it saying, go get 'em, guys, jocks play with their balls.
Their balls.
So, fun fact about this next section. People know, if you've played this game casually, this mission specifically, or this final section of the mission, tends to not only give you ear rape at one point, but it crashes your game. Thanks to Nick from the Bully speedrunning community, Big Crash has been fixed.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick. Seriously, you make like people actually be able to do full-blown like runs. I was supposed to do a strategy there, but I was thanking Nick, so I'll do it after them in the next cycle. It's fine.
I don't know. When I was thinking about Nick, I was thinking about like an audience applauding, and immediately I had like the Soviet anthem playing in my head for some reason.
You go, thy husband. Substitute. So Ted would scream substitute insanely loud in your ear, and it was so fun.
Substitute.
So let's see if we can get this strategy here. We did not. Okay, so usually what you're supposed to do there, if you like almost like kamikaze him with the football, you should be able to knock out Damon in one hit. I wasn't able to do it there because even on the first cycle, it can sometimes be finicky. I may just be using that as an excuse. I'm actually not good at the strategy, which is very much probably the actual reason, but Ted's even tougher.
That's another little beta leftover in this game. If you listen closely to when he says Ted's even tougher, he actually says Tad's even tougher because, again, he was supposed to be a prep originally.
I'm gonna trigger him to run towards me because sometimes when you throw the footballs at these last two guys, the football will just phase through them. So I'm playing it safe, and I'm actually trying to trigger them to run towards me, so we don't have to worry about that. His line just got just you. You. He's just shaking his fist like old man Simpson. All right, so that's the end of Chapter 4. At this point, we are the kings of the school, which Jimmy will say here in just a second. We are in control of all the cliques, and you would think things would go smoothly now, right?
Well,
like everyone's
all
friends.
but one.
All but one. And they're not even at the school. And that's where Blue Skies gets introduced. And with the aptly named, sure, the fall and rise of Jimmy Hopkins, age 15, aptly. So, as you can probably tell by the title of this chapter, a little bit of foreshadowing here. Things do not go well for our boy Jimmy, but that'll happen here in just a second.
Yeah,
So,
he dies.
Fun fact about this chapter, literally about 24 hours ago, Nick, the current world record holder, found a reroute for Chapter 5. So, we used to trigger DDM in the office, fail art class, and all that. No. We do stuff different here now. In this reroute, we go through all of the regular stuff in Chapter 5, but instead of failing art class, what we do is we start Glass House, which starts at 3:30. We knock out Warp in the mission, and that jumps us to 6:30. And it is much faster. It is estimated, although for some reason, me, Nick, and PGSD, another runner, we cannot get a smooth run with this reroute worth a damn. All of us did runs of it yesterday, and all three of us failed and got bad time, just because we were plus a minute and a half going into this section. So, maybe soon, you'll see a new PB/world record from one of the bully runners using this reroute. So we need to grab some items on the way to us going to the town hall and making a mark. We need marbles for rats in the library. We need the first half of firecrackers to set up a knockout warp that we use later. And bottle rockets, because, I don't know, they were in the way. So why not grab them?
Yeah. So to give people a little bit of an idea of what's going on story-wise at this point in the game, you've just taken over the school, you know, people respect you and everything, and now you're laying down your tag on City Hall because at this point, Jimmy has kind of let it go to his head. He's gotten full of himself. So he's like, yeah, I'll paint this warning on City Hall to show everybody who's boss. And upon returning to the school, all hell has broken loose. Pretty much like all the major factions on the school, except for the bullies, have been targeted by the townies through Gary's manipulation.
Yeah, except the bullies, for some reason. I guess they weren't worth Gary's effort to, you know, mess with them. I mean, what would you do against the bullies? Obviously, there's like gym is burning, rats in the library, and stuff like that. What would you do against the bullies? Like, bail Russell out of prison? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe Russell could be like in police custody or something, and you would have to like, you know, get him out of like the back of a cop car or something.
Speaking of cop car, one was right in front of me.
Yeah, so something really cool that Jake just did just now is minimizing fall damage by using a skateboard. You can survive just about any height of a fall in this game by using the skateboard, and Yeah, it takes up a lot of the damage. It doesn't remove all of it, but it actually prevents you from getting knocked out or having your health reach 0. So like at the least, it'll leave you at like 1 health, just like the number 1, just like there you go, 1 left. And at that point, like a gust of wind could probably kill you. So
Yeah.
but
Fun fact, when I was doing PB attempts like a year ago or whatever, Swegta was in the call with me, and he witnessed during Preppy's Vandalize when you're skateboarding in the warehouse, I bumped into a corner and I died because my health was so low. It happens.
yeah, you can just bump into a wall ever so slightly, and Jimmy will just heal over, and that'll be it. You'll respawn.
Jimmy. So we're going to throw some marbles here on the ground. This is the quickest way, at least on paper, to kill all the rats. Recently, I've been having issues with it because I guess I just don't know the pattern or something. Well, actually, this is a really good Rats in the Library, actually. This is going really well.
If you want, I could explain the rat AI a little bit.
Yeah, and
because
explain why they're ice skating.
Well, I can't really explain that. Something that I can explain,
There we
though,
go.
is
That was good, not
why the rats congregate like that when one of them dies. It's because rats are programmed to be kind of curious. So they'll if there's like an item on the floor, like let's say there's a beam cola on the floor, rats will probably approach it and kind of look at it, and they do the same thing with other rats because they count as like weapons you can pick up when you kill them.
Yep.
They're actually pretty like there's a lot of AI stuff to them that I didn't really notice until I started like carefully observing them in the game. They can actually swim.
Yes, I do know that, because during 100%, one of the last errands you have to do in Blue Skies towards the end of the route, you have to shoot a bunch of rats on the dock, and sometimes they can fall in the water and die instantly. So, that is indeed true. Rats in this game can not only ice skate, they can also swim. So we're going to put out some fires here in the gym, because a townie decided to just commit some really felony-level arson. By felony level, I mean arson is a felony. Omega arson.
I mean, this is like attempted murder at least.
Yeah, this is straight up just you are going to jail for a long time if people die and you get caught. Even just burning the gym, I think you're going away for a long time. It's just a prank, yeah, man. He lit a little fire under our butts, as Gurney says as he runs out.
You know what I found out just a few weeks ago is that stink bombs, using them on people is actually illegal in a lot of states. It's considered its own crime, or like a type of crime.
So you know how people have like the fart spray, where it's like the little spray that literally smells like somebody shit themselves? Does that count?
If you used it on somebody just like out in public at random, maybe. I mean, I guess it would depend on like if they could convince a jury or a judge that it's like
It was a
stink
joke.
bomb.
It was a yoke. It was a yoke. Why are you so angry? It's a yoke.
Funny joke.
So we're gonna skateboard over to Board Town here to grab our bike, and that's a bad cop spawn. It's okay though. Class is over. It's fine. Perfect timing. Shout out to the reroute.
Yeah, liquid ass. That was the fart spray thing.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if that would technically count as a stink bomb. It kind of. I feel like that's a bit of a gray area because it's not a bomb. But anyway, here in New Coventry, the townies said to Johnny that they were bumping uglies with a Lola, and he kind of went insane. He lost his shit. So now he is in the lunatic asylum. And us being the good leader that we are of all the cliques, we're gonna go bust him out.
Yeah, we're gonna contribute to his behavior by enabling it.
Yeah, we're gonna commit another felony and by busting him out of a mental institution.
It is kind of messed up how they have that asylum right behind the school.
Yeah, it's literally in biking distance. Or walking distance even, not even biking. You could walk here.
I mean, like any kid on campus that just kind of trails off into the woods for 5 minutes could get there.
Yeah, Borth is a very strange place. So we're gonna...
Somebody in the chat...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No, you
No.
I insist, you foist.
Foist? Okay.
don't know
So
what this accent is.
when we climb a tree, we're gonna climb a tree to get into the asylum, and I'm gonna set up a knockout warp, which is what we're gonna do at the end of this, in order to move on to the next section. And we're just gonna be traversing through the asylum here, avoiding the orderlies as best we can to get to where Johnny is and bust him out. So in order to really like try to bust Johnny out, we need to get a orderly uniform. And the only place to get that is in the laundry room. So because of DDM enabled, there's usually a bunch of dialogue here. We're just going to skip that. Watch a cutscene movie if you're interested, or watch a no DDM run. There's plenty of those. Nick did one literally yesterday. So we're just going to go through the showers here, which is where my commanding officer is going to meet me, apparently, according to that donation that was read during Chapter 3. And we're going to get an orderly uniform. And now, the orderlies are completely cool with us now. They see us as just an employee. Do I look a little young in the face? Yes, but I'm still contributing. And that's all that matters in their eyes. So we're going to go over to the cell room doors here, and we're just going to... Or the cell room trigger here, we're just going to bust everybody out. And this can sometimes happen where we'll stand in front of the door. We're just going to go past him, and we're going to make our way towards the exit.
So somebody in the chat mentioned Johnny becoming an adult in the process. I think that person might have been jokingly referring to the fact that Johnny is programmed to act and be treated like an adult during this mission, like a townsperson. This is done so that the orderlies don't bust him during this section.
Yeah, that would make sense.
You know, I actually read up on some beta information about this game, and the way the developers explained this part, the reason the orderlies ignore Johnny is because they assume you have him in custody because you have the orderly uniform on. This is never explained in the game, but it's kind of cool how like they actually thought about that.
Bowl cutter glitch? No. No. I think now with the way the route is, I think it's not optimal to get bowl cutter glitch. And if you do, it's because you probably had your game running for a long time and the memory leaks have taken over. And the game's just like, fine, here, take it. We're dying here. We're struggling.
Yeah. This is one of those Rockstar games that, well, one of
one of them.
Half of them, but
Plural.
one of many games by Rockstar where the longer you play it, the more the game just kind of loses its mind. So it's a bit like life.
That's life. So, Revenge of Mr. Burton. We meet a girl in Blue Skies named Zoe. She was a former Bulworth Academy student, and then she got expelled because Mr. Burton was flirting with her. Yeah, some nasty stuff. So we're gonna get some revenge, good old-fashioned revenge on Mr. Burton. We grabbed some bolt cutters from the Spaz Industries building in town, and now we're gonna head over to the park here, and we are gonna destroy all the porta potties in the park. And fun fact, they all say mobile merde. For any of you EU people that speak French, it says mobile shit.
Yeah, it's portable shit.
Portable shit, yeah. So that's fun.
There's also there's a plant in the game called Crapula maxima fortissima, which roughly translates to giant piece of crap.
Which is the plant that we have to destroy in Weed Killer, when I mentioned the Darby Harrington dialogue in Chapter 3.
Yeah.
So we use the firecrackers there to destroy all the porta potties, because normally you would just beat them with a bat or your fist. Or the old school way we used to do, we used to drive our bike into it, because we didn't know what the hell we were doing. But we just grabbed firecrackers earlier, and we just, you know, destroy all the porta potties, get this one on a ledge using the bolt cutters, and there he goes.
Yeah, so just ignore
Corn.
the bike throwing a tantrum on the ground.
Yeah, that happens. He did not have the new metal band Korn for dinner.
But he did have a Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, alright. So,
Hey, moving on.
So we're gonna go to the boxing gym and do Preppy's Vandalized. Preppy's Vandalized. All of the Prep's boxing trophies got stolen. You could probably guess by who, considering, you know, Gurney in the gym and Johnny mentioning the dropouts. You could probably, it's probably safe to assume who was the group that stole the boxing trophies. So we got to ride over to New Coventry and question Vance about the Preppy's trophies, because obviously the first person, or the first group of people you would assume stole the Preppy's trophies are the Greasers, because the Preps and the Greasers, they fucking hate each other. So immediately, we're just going to be like, oh, process of elimination. let's go have a friendly chat with Vance.
Interestingly enough, Jimmy does seem pretty doubtful in the greasers having anything to do with this. If you watch the introduction cutscene.
Yes, yes. Biff and Darby assume that it's the greasers, so they're like, all right, screw this, fuck this, it's an all-out war. And Jimmy's like, hold on, maybe it wasn't them. Hold on, we need proof, we need to make sure. So Vance, in that cutscene, because we have DDM enabled, you weren't able to hear it, basically he brings up that they don't care about the preps anymore, just for the sheer fact that the dropouts got Johnny into the asylum. So they don't care about the preps anymore. They're pissed at the dropouts. So another process of elimination. Oh, it was the townies. Where do they hang out? Blue Skies. Oh, let's go to the Spencer Shipping Warehouse. That's what this is. And see what they're up to. And coming up here, as you can see, they are loading rats into the crates that were supposed to be where the books are for the library. So there's concrete proof that they were the ones who put the rats in the library. We have proof of Jim is burning because we saw Gurney sprint out of the bathroom. And now we're going to get even more proof that the dropouts are up to no good. Because they're having themselves a little party here down at the docks. And by a party, they're burning all the preppies trophies. Which is, when you really think about it, that's fucked up. That is awful. This is like hard work and stuff, and there's just blammo up in smoke. So we're gonna take a picture of that.
What are you gonna do next? Like take a shit on somebody's mom's grave or something?
Take a dump on their doorstep, like Ted recommends in the first Making a Mark cutscene. Which I think would be the funnier way, instead of just spray painting Bull Worthless on the town hall.
Like, if there was an actual mission objective where the game's like, okay, now go take a shit.
Go take a dump on the doorstep. So, after we got the proof that the townies were the one up to all the shenanigans that have happened in Chapter 5, we're going to skateboard our way back to the gym to show that it was indeed the dropouts. Well, Pooper. He didn't say Pooper, he says Pauper, but it sounds funny.
It should be Pooper.
It should absolutely be a Pooper. So, during that cutscene, Jimmy shows them the proof, and he's just like, why would the townies do that? And Jimmy's like, well, because at the start of this, I listened to Gary taking over the school. So then the preps are like, oh, so it's your fault. So they don't care. They're kind of indifferent. Also, speaking of townie, there was one in front of the school, just hanging around.
And the evidence picture you took at the end, the photograph, they even tell you to basically like shove it up your ass.
Oh, yeah, I'm dropping frames again. Apologies for that, people. I can't control that. My internet is a hunk of ass today, even on Ethernet. So, apologies, but that's the situation.
It'll pass.
So, now that it is 4 o'clock, we're going to do something cool, a part of the reroute. So, instead of failing art at the start of the chapter like we usually do throughout the years, we are going to start the mission Glass House, where you literally just destroy all of Mr. Hattrick's windows. And instead, we are going to knockout warp. I forgot to grab fucking firecrackers. I'm going to go to my room and get that now. Wait, I can grab them in front of the library. It's fine. So usually you're supposed to grab firecrackers there, but literally this reroute got found 24 hours ago so it's not in my muscle memory at all. So when you have firecrackers, we're just going to knock out warp here.
I was gonna say, like, I'm a bit confused. Why are we doing this? So this to me is brand new. I have not heard anything about this until just now.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't keep you in the loop. I'm sorry. That's on me.
I'm lost in the dark. I'm scared. Hold me.
So now, because that mission starts at 3:30 and jumps us to 6:30, we can skip the waiting. So now we can just go to sleep almost right away if you time it right. Sometimes if you're really fast at this, you still have to wait like a few seconds, but it is still faster than just like failing art and then having to wait. So we're gonna bust warp to the school here to go see the principal. Basically, the cliff notes: we're getting expelled because Gary snitched to Crabble Snitch and said that you were the one responsible for all this, and he's like a top student. He's gonna be head of the school and stuff. And Crabble Snitch is just
Hello,
like, peace,
Prince.
playa.
Yeah. Sorry. I
Just
just saw him just now.
had to say hi.
Terrible. Everybody hates
Yeah. A detail that I really like is how, as Jake explained, by getting busted, you can actually teleport to the principal's office, and you can trigger this part of the game, like getting expelled.
Fun stuff. Getting expelled. You know, not having an education. Good stuff. So, because everybody in the school hates us, we have to get back at the townies for all the pain that they caused. So, Swagta, answer me this, because they didn't get to see it via the dialogue. Who was the one person in the school that doesn't hate us? Well, aside from Petey.
Russell.
Russell! Yeah, the big boy that we beat with a plank like 2 hours ago.
By the way, this is when Russell becomes a pretty likable character. Like, he's always been throughout the story, well, after the first chapter at least.
But he's straight up
But
like,
this is like-
our homie. He's our dude.
He's awesome in this section of the game.
Very, very powerful ally to have. Not the brightest individual, but literally strong as an ox. And he's like 6'5", and he's like how old is he? Do you know his age?
Oh, his age? I don't know. It looks like he's 30.
He looks like he's 30, but he's probably, what, 15, 16, probably.
Also, the bike that he's using, that's a stolen police bike. You find that out later in the game through cutscene dialogue.
That you do. So in the middle of all this, I'm going to grab firecrackers in the corner here, because we're going to set up a knockout warp after this mission. So he's going to ride
Hopefully
over to the townies' hangout. It's not their hangout. The townie challenge is their hangout, but this is like their in-game hangout. And we're going to storm the
villain lair.
barricade.
Yeah. But I just want to say, like, hopefully the people have enjoyed this speedrun so far. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Want to thank Ben for having us. I also want to remind people again to use exclamation point donate if you want to.
It's for the kids.
Support. Yes, it is.
Save.
We're
the
not
children.
pocketing any of it. It goes to a pretty good cause. So if you want to do that, it's always an option. But I mean, we appreciate anyone watching.
So we're gonna slingshot these guys, and then slingshot only that guy over there, because he will turn over and be like, "Oh, what happened?" And then you can just run past him. So sometimes if you're like too close, or if you're like too early or too late, he'll just turn around and be like, "Hey!" And then just like try to sprint at you, but to no avail. And we're gonna set up a really cool strat here. So remember earlier when Swector brought up the levitation glitch? Well, if I do it correctly, we're gonna do it right here in just a second. So we have to bait one of the townies. It's random which one it is, because they're just coming out and just trying to attack us. Let's see who we get today. We get Clint. Cool. Alright, so he's going to try to run over and tackle us. And then we're going to crouch. Dump him into the trash can. Uncrouch. And then there we go. We use this here specifically to skip this section where we have to activate some switches in order to move this train in the train yard. Instead, we can just skateboard right over it.
So like I said before in the stream, you can use this at the beginning of the game if you want to get out of the academy to customize Jimmy. You only have like $50 to spend on haircuts and clothing, but you can customize him a little bit.
Very good. So we're just making our way through, and we have to go up to Omar, who is Edgar's right-hand man. He's one of the townies. He has a key on him that we need in order to get into the plant and confront Edgar for all the pain that he has caused, all the cliques in the school. Zoe here is going to distract this group of townies here by just saying hi. And then we just go up here. Easy peasy.
Yeah, and despite being such an important character at this stage in the game, Omar doesn't have a winter model. Most of the just about all the characters in the game have winter models used in Chapter 3, where they have like hats or jackets and stuff or gloves. Omar doesn't have that. He's just rocking the same,
Awesome.
the same summer style clothing when it's
Clean.
winter, just like a tank top.
So here's this section of the plant. Edgar's going to be like, it's right this way, Jimmy, you know? And we're just going to go down here quickly. Usually you would have to balance yourself over some pipes in order to get over to a section where you can climb down and confront Edgar. We're going to try not to do that. Instead, we're just going to use the skateboard, if I can do it correctly. I am not doing this correctly. There we go. We did it.
Got it.
So a little bit of trivia, speedrun trivia. Swegta lost a world record run to falling and getting knocked out there.
Oh yeah, I did. I forgot about that.
Yep.
That's
So
horrible. Thank you.
you're welcome. So we're gonna beat Edgar with his door here, and we're gonna try to set up door skip.
Yeah,
Oh.
thank you for pointing that out as well.
I didn't get
Nick.
it. Well, that's unfortunate. So you can skip this part of the fight. If you get into this door early, what happens is that Edgar doesn't grab a pipe here, he just runs in, and then you just beat him normally. I didn't do it right, because I'm not very good at this game, apparently. So we're just going to use the spray paint, which is the OG way of doing this fight. Oh, it's alright. Sometimes he can block all your hits, because he is annoying. The pipe blocks all kinds of damage and stuff. And we're going to bully him. Just for the sakes of it. And I'm not going to set up...
That's the name of the game.
So normally when you have full health here, you're supposed to throw a firecracker at your feet before this cutscene transition. I'm not going to do that. My health was fairly low. I didn't trust it. So there we go. Edgar and the townies are cool with us now. They're on our side 100%. And we are officially in the end game.
I think your health is a little bit over half. But,
I was just playing it safe. I panicked.
Yeah, I would have done the same.
Well, good news, everybody. For those watching at home, we are in the end game. This is the last mission of the game. So, Zoe's letting us know that the entire school is a war zone right now. Every single click, excluding the bullies again, for some reason, because I guess they're on our side, they're all beating the crap out of each other, while Gary's kind of just sitting on top of the ashes, kind of just, you know, basking in what he's done. So we got to get our boy Russell out of the Wonder Meat Slaughterhouse here, because the cops kind of found out that he stole that police bike. And believe it or not, if you steal a police bike, the police aren't thrilled about this. And because we're so far ahead of Russell, watch this. He's going to snatch us, but there's nobody there. So we just get snatched by air. And remember during Stronghold Assault when I sprinted out of the doors? You can do this again with the cutscene transition, where after Jimmy's done talking, you can just beat the crap out of Russell.
I always do that.
Always. Always. Your run is invalid. We have a meme in the speedrunning community where if you don't do that, your run's invalid. It's a requirement at this point. So, us and the townies, Russell, you used his head to get us into the school, and now we have to go around to specific sections of the school, and we have to take out the gang leaders. So Ernest, Darby, Johnny, and Ted all got to be taken out of the equation before we face Gary. And if I don't run into every single ped, we might be able to get there. So first thing in this route, we are going to go to the gym and confront Ernest. And Swegta, would you like to read a fun fact about what is inside of this fire pile?
Oh, yeah, sure. I almost forgot about that. So this is something that I found while going through some textures in the game. The
mannequin
dummy in the fire right there. That is actually a beta version of Jimmy, like his head and I guess part of his torso. If you apply or overlay Jimmy's texture over that, it fits perfectly. So they basically just took an old beta version of Jimmy and threw him in a fire. And of course you have the mascot head on a stick there. That's a reference to Lord of the Flies.
So we're going to go next door here to the Harrington house to meet with Darby, who's wearing a pompous-ass, what is that, robe? Or, I don't know what that is. So fun fact about this mission,
It has like a French name for it, honestly.
If you look to the right where Chad is, he's holding a baseball. And then he's about to throw it.
I could also explain that if you want to give you my theory on it.
Yeah, go for it.
So what I think happened was because throughout development, sometimes okay, so all the items, weapons, vehicles, characters, they have IDs in the game, like 86, I think is for Gary or something like that. Um, and so they assigned a weapon to Chad in this mission, and what I suspect happened in development is that the weapon ID changed or switched. Like they changed a couple weapon IDs, and they forgot to like make sure that Chad actually has the appropriate weapon. So instead of like spawning with I don't know, a paddle or something the preps would have, or eggs, he instead spawns with a baseball that is only really used in the what is it? The strikeout minigame at the carnival.
Very clean TED section. Very clean. So now we have to go over to the girls' dorm because that's where Johnny and the greasers are hanging out. So there's a very small chance that somebody else can spawn inside the girls' dorm. Let's see if we get it. No. So it's kind of random depending on which ped will spawn in here. Sometimes Angie will be in here just hanging out. Sometimes Donald will spawn upstairs, and like a nerd will spawn upstairs. Usually, though, recently I've had Constantino spawn in here. He doesn't do anything. Like he's not like hostile to us or anything. He's just here. I don't know why he's here. I have a suspicion as to why he's here, but I'm not going to talk about that. So we're going to take care of these greasers here with the bottle rocket. I'm going to grab some cola here just in case.
So another change they made in development is
real
supposed
quickly.
to
Real quickly. There's a very small chance that my game can crash here because of the ped spawns. So we'll see if it crashes here.
Hopefully not.
It does not. Okay,
But,
proceed.
I was gonna thank you. I was gonna say initially what they had planned for this mission was for you to beat up the different clique leaders, and I think most, if not all of them, would have come to their senses and been like, okay, I'll help you out. But they ended up removing all of that. So instead, you just beat them all up, and then you never see them again in the game. So they might as well be dead at this point.
Russia. What? That is an Eastern European language, I think. I don't know what that is. So what happened here is when we get into the school, Edgar just beat the shit out of some bullies for some reason, even though Russell's on our side. We call Gary a little bitch.
He could have just talked to them and been like, "Hey, chill out, everybody."
So what happened here? In the cutscene with Edgar, he brings up the fact that he has the teachers and the prefects on his side. So what happened there is that the prefects busted us, quotation marks, took all of our items. So now we are just doing this with our bare fists. No skateboard, nothing, just bare fists. And now we need to traverse across the rooftop, chasing Gary. And he's going to throw bricks at us, and then when we climb the ladder, he's going to drop a wheelbarrow full of bricks on us. He's really trying
there's going to be, like, bells falling down and shit.
Gary is really trying to commit first-degree murder here. He truly is.
The thing is, sometimes what can happen is, like, Gary's AI will mess up, or, like, you have some kind of pathfinding issue, and you can punch him, or like, grab him. But the problem is, like, if you do that, the game actually fails you. It's like you're supposed to follow Gary, not fight him before you're supposed to fight him. But you could, if that happens, if his AI bugs out and you manage to catch up with him, you can actually throw him off the building.
It's
and
pretty
he'll
funny.
get knocked out. Yeah.
And Gary here is gaslighting us about the fact that we needed him, even though if you remember at the start of the game, Gary walks up to us. Oh, look, nice. I got the Gary skip here where he doesn't do the wheelbarrow.
There you go. Perfect timing.
And we're going to see if I can get Bell skip here. If I jump here, I can just run towards. And I'm going to try to do a very quick way on doing this Gary fight, if I can. So there we go. If you spam B the moment you skip the cutscene, you'll land on your feet normal, and if you walk over to Gary on the ground and press Y insanely quickly, you can just beat him up. You can just beat him up towards the end of the game. And this is the Gary boss fight. Normally, you would just, like, grab him and beat the crap out of him, and you're falling through everything and stuff, but we managed to do this one cycle.
The way this fight is happening right now is not canonical.
No. We don't believe in lore around here or canonical things. And GG. That is the end of the run. 2 hours, 15 minutes, and 53 seconds according to my in-game time live split, which is 22 seconds worse than the run I got, or 22 seconds worse than the run I got yesterday. So pretty good, pretty good. Nothing went horribly wrong, which was the goal. That's what I was nervous about when I was doing these streams leading up to this event. I was just like, I just don't want the game to crash. I don't want anything horrible to go wrong. I tried Firecracker Strat once, and it failed, and then we just did Slingshot Strat to be safe, and then everything else, for the most part, fairly smooth sailing. Good. Good. Thank you,
This was
everybody, for the GGs. I had a lot of fun. For a first marathon run, aside from the frame drops, which is unfortunately kind of out of my control until I either fix that or I move or something. Yeah. This was very fun. Swegta, thank you for accepting my invitation and joining me. It's always a pleasure to do stuff with you, my old friend.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And like I said, thank you, Ben, too, for hosting this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Ben, for inviting me. I've never done a marathon run in like my 7-8 years of speedrunning, and yeah, I'm glad that I did it. Social anxiety be damned.
You did a great job. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, man. Great.
Now get lost.
Get the fuck out!
Yeah,
Banned.
so thank you all for being here. Thanks to you two again. Thank you to everyone who has supported today. We'll be back in about 12 hours time from now. !schedule in the chat, so you can all see it in your respective time zones. And we'll be back tomorrow with San Andreas 100%. So it's going to be like one run for the whole day because it's a long ass run.
Man.
So, yeah, we'll see you all there for that very soon.
Gonna be awesome. Be there.
Be there.
Be there or be square. as they say.
Exclamation point, donate if you would like to give to the cause. You're helping children. It's good stuff.
Yes. And thank you to everyone who's supported the kids so far. It's going to be making Christmas a lot less horrible for them, hopefully. That's the plan, right?
Indeed. Indeed.
All right, cool. That's us for today. So thank you again for you two. And we'll peace out and see you all tomorrow. Okay?
Rock on.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.